Hi, guys. Matt Ray with America's First News. And if you're like me, you're probably still looking for that special Christmas gift for your wife or girlfriend. Treat her to the very best this year. The world's softest pajamas from Pajamagram. Because they are the world's softest pajamas, they're lighter than a cloud, softer than a bunny. They're like cashmere, only better, and you'll love the way they look. She'll love the way they feel. The softness, the warmth, the comfort. And if you're like me, you can't stand wrapping presents. It's tough to do. Well, get this. Pajamagram includes free gift packaging. All you have to do is make the order, and delivery is guaranteed by Christmas. Plus, they're backed by a 100% lifetime guarantee. You risk nothing but the look on her face, guys, when she opens the Pajamagram. So go to Pajamagram.com right now. That's Pajamagram.com. Tell them Matt Ray sent you. That's Pajamagram.com. Tell them Matt Ray sent you.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Live for 3 hours every Saturday night. It's a show that engages the mind, makes you think, and maybe even challenge what you think you know. Hi, I'm Jeremy Scott of Into the Paranormal, where we talk about topics that are anything but mainstream, somewhere between abnormal and paranormal. Bring an open mind and join us for Into the Paranormal. Live Saturdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on the Fringe FM.
We told you weeknights on the Fringe FM are now even better. And we mean it.
Do it live!
Where else can you hear the best shows and the best talent? Kick off your evening with our newest host, Alex Exum, live at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 Eastern. Hang out with me, Joe Roop, on Lighting the Void at 9 Pacific, midnight Eastern. Ryan Gable expands your mind on the secret teachings at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern. We're bringing the heat every single night. Fire it up, the Fringe FM.
From Studio 303, it's the Stranger Than Fiction News right here on the Fringe FM, bringing light to the stories that surround us. Strange seismic waves that rippled around the world leave scientists bewildered. Just before 9:30 a.m. on Sunday, November 11th, a series of unusual seismic pulses rippled around the world almost undetected. The waves rang for over 20 minutes, emanating about 15 miles off the shores of Mayotte, a tiny island in the Indian Ocean between Madagascar and Africa. The waveforms seen on November 11th resembled these slow-moving waveforms, usually seen following large earthquakes. Only in this case, there had not been a perceptible earthquake. The mystery waveform from Mayotte was a crisp zigzag pattern which repeated after steady 17-second intervals. "They're too nice, they're too perfect to be nature," joked the University of Glasgow's Helen Robinson, who is in study for a PhD in applied volcanology. Speaking to National Geographic, she added the location of the island means industrial sources for the unusual waves, such as oil drilling or from wind farms, could be ruled out. And the mystery of a remote U.S. zone near Area 51, known as the Nevada Triangle, is where more than 2,000 planes have vanished in the past 60 years. The area is half the size of England and has claimed the lives of hundreds of pilots over the decades. Mystery has swirled around the vast area of western United States that has seen thousands of planes vanish for years. The Nevada Triangle has become an aircraft graveyard in the last 60 years, as hundreds of pilots who venture in never return. Read more of this interesting article at The Sun UK. And a 26-year-old face transplant patient reveals his new face. Less than 11 months after Cameron Underwood underwent a face transplant surgery, the 26-year-old is revealing himself to the world. Underwood of Yuba City, California, sustained a self-inflicted gunshot to the face in June of 2016. The extensive damage left him missing most of his lower jaw, his nose, and every tooth but one. He also experienced damage to his upper face and palate. You can see the photos and read all the article at cnnhealth.com. And now for this edition's fun fact. The beer brewing company Guinness estimates that 93,000 liters of beer are lost in facial hair each year in the United Kingdom alone. And that wraps it up for another edition of the Stranger Than Fiction News right here on the Fringe FM. I'm Vance Nesbitt, anchor and news sorcerer.
Message is being broadcast by the Department of Defense of the Republic. At 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, multiple unidentified objects were confirmed to have entered Earth's atmosphere.
Discovery Houston, 20 seconds to LOS T-Drift.
Contact, nice, clear in orbit. The first message that comes to you is you are a divine being. You matter. You count. You come from realms of unimaginable power and light, and you will return to those realms.
The vast stretches of the unknown and the unanswered and the unfinished still far outstrip our collective comprehension.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting from Forest Tower Studios, all the way from the Deep South. Now, here is your host, Joe Root.
Good evening. I'm Joe Roop, and this is Lighting the Void. We are live on KTLK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM. And our website is lightingthevoid.com. It is Wednesday night, December the 12th, on into the 13th. And we are live once again, same time, same back channel. Tonight we're going to do something a little different. We've never talked about this before on this show. We're going to be discussing Atlantis with author of Song of Atlantis, Brian Power. Now, we know from many authors and researchers like John Anthony West, who we've discussed on the show quite a bit, Graham Hancock, Robert Bouval, and plenty more, that our history is widely mistaken. The one common denominator in many of these stories of our history is there was a flood, right? Some type of great deluge. So I think it's our very first show on this topic of Atlantis, I'm pretty sure it is. So let's see where this rabbit hole takes us. Now, I have to believe that I'm not the only one out there that believes and feels that, there was an ancient civilization that was far more advanced than any of us know about. And they were advanced in awareness and esoteric knowledge. There's plenty of stories about it. We all feel that. But although there's not really much scientific data or solid evidence of Atlantis, it does feel true at the very least. I mean, don't you think? So my knowledge of Atlantis is, I would say, probably at neophyte level at best. But I remember reading a book by Manly P. Hall that discussed it, as well as Edgar Cayce, and both of these men have incredible integrity to me, so I've always been fascinated with it. Now, Brian Power has lived in Rhode Island for 32 years. He's a retired lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Marine Corps Reserve with 5+ years of active service and 20+ years of reserve service. He's also had a successful training and consulting firm that provided leadership, team building, and problem-solving services to small to medium-sized companies in the Rhode Island and Southeastern Massachusetts area. Brian taught humanities courses such as Human Relations in the Workplace, Introduction to Film, the Automobile, and American Culture, Leadership, and Ethics to students at New England Institute of Technology. Now, this book, Song of Atlantis, is a novel. It's about the sustainability sustainability, I think I said that right, of the Earth, envisioned by well-drawn characters, thinkers, scientists, and explorers, led by an American Indian anthropologist, Gordon Tallbear. It's pretty cool. I mean, there's 3 storylines that are interwoven through this novel, and I will let Brian discuss this as he comes on. Thank you so much, Brian, for coming on Lighting the Void. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me, Joe. I really appreciate being here.
So this is your first book, right? It's got to be exciting for you. Your first book ever.
Absolutely. It's I've been wanting to write forever and ever, but I'd always start things and get about 10 pages in and hit a wall. And then I finally started collecting a whole bunch of different stuff from my past and military experience, my reading experiences, and all of a sudden it just started gelling, and I started typing and reshaping it and editing it, and it took me about 6 years to get it into its final form. But it's it was one of those things that it was a work of love on my part, but there's a lot in there. I'm doing a lot of things, as you mentioned, the 3 storylines. It basically opens up 12,500 years ago with the master architect of Atlantis, and he is now tasked with building and something that can produce perpetual energy for the Earth. We jump ahead a few thousand years to an exploration team from Atlantis, one of whose members gets kidnapped by an American Indian tribe. And then we come up to the present day, and we have Dr. Gordon Tallbear, who's a PhD anthropologist and also a Lakota Indian. He's on an assignment out in Montana in the Badlands, where they discover the body of this 8,000-year-old man. And it turns out that using computer enhancements, it turns out he looks exactly like Dr. Gordon Tallbear. Simultaneous to that, Tallbear works for a research facility that is looking at unlocking secrets of ancient civilizations. And they have simultaneously deployed a team down to Antarctica looking for acoustic anomalies or hollow sounds in the mountains. And they discover a massive network of caverns there and sophisticated technology that the Atlanteans left when they had gone underground, when the continent drifted down into the Antarctic zone. So that's kind of the heart and soul of it. Basically what happens is Tallbear and his crew, they discover that once they unlock the secrets of translating the Atlantean computers, they discover that the people of Atlantis had the secret to perpetual clean energy. So Tallbear and his people try to bring that to light. And some very evil people that are working for some people that are heavily invested into the carbon-producing industries are going to try and kill them before they can do that. So, everybody says it reads like contemporary nonfiction. So I've been kind of pleased with that little analysis.
Well, it's not the first time, actually. I think a lot of what we consider in our genre as fact has been buried in a lot of fiction. I know a book like Secret Machines was done by, the guy from Blink-182, where I think he actually had the experiences, but I mean, it's a creative process, honestly. And here we believe in any creative process. You're speaking from the soul, and you said yourself, it's your first book. It took a long time to make. So there's something there tapping into you, I think, don't you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the big influences regarding Atlantis and the Great Pyramid of Giza, I was influenced so much by Graham Hancock and John Anthony West and Christopher Dunn. Christopher Dunn wrote a wonderful book about the Giza power plant and how he makes a really good solid argument that the Great Pyramid at Giza was actually used to produce power. And so I built that right into my story. That everything operates on musical vibrations. So, and by the way, the Atlanteans, I, for some reason, decided that their method of communication was all done by song. And all their technology is based on music.
Wow, that's cool.
It's an odd twist, but it works. It works.
So you remember, I think most of us remember when Robert Bauval gave us that theory of that the 3 major pyramids in the Giza complex are aligned exactly to mirror the configuration of the 3 principal stars in Orion's belt. Did that influence you?
Absolutely. Because his proof was that they're lined up not as the three stars on the belt are today, but as they were 12,500 years ago, when Orion was much closer to the horizon. That the alignment was actually perfect with it back then. So that's what made me think that the Great Pyramid was actually built way back then, not built 2,500 years before Christ. And same thing with the Sphinx. The Sphinx is obviously is a lion's body, and it's pointed right exactly where Leo was rising over the horizon 12,500 years ago. So I'm thinking that all of these ancient structures are really far more ancient than the conventional Egyptologists claim. So,
not to mention that Robert Schoch pretty much proved that the Sphinx was water eroded. So that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, and back then, at 12,500 years ago, Egypt was a very wet savanna with plentiful rain. 5,000 years ago, it was as arid as it is today. So, where did that rainfall come from?
Right. There is a lot of fascination of late with Antarctica in the ufology field, and the conspiracy field, and the paranormal field. So I think a lot of people are attracted to that. Anytime Antarctica comes up, we got a friend as actually traveling there right now, Brad Olson. But why do you believe that Antarctica is possibly the lost continent of Atlantis?
Well, I looked at all the different theories of Atlantis, and there's I think there's 8 different sites around or near the Mediterranean that are the most common ones that are cited. And, they're all good theories. That's fine. But Graham Hancock had thrown out this idea that Atlantis was actually in the Indian Ocean, and it floated on this thing called crustal displacement. It actually started drifting south and became Antarctica as we know it today. I kind of like that. I thought it was, that was a cool theory. I think that, people had always described Atlantis as sinking beneath the waves. Well, if you're looking at a big island out, way out in the distant horizon, and it's drifting away from you, it's going to be the same appearance as if it sunk. So, why not? So I just thought, well, let me use that theory. And, it works for my book. I think it's as good a theory as any.
Yeah, there is a lot of theories about Atlantis, and I got to be honest with you, I kind of believe it. I mean, I do. I can't say, it's true, it's 100% true, Atlantis. I mean, nobody can really say that, but I think at the core, we all kind of believe it. So many men have talked about it, and it's just something that's fascinating to a lot of us. I don't. The one thing that I am curious about, and I know that you've probably talked about it many times, is like the Aztecs and the Mayans, all of these people, they have all of these structures and monuments, and it all looks like it goes back to ancient astronomy, even Göbekli Tepe. So to me, that's a little bit proof that we know there was something here. We got to get over this, right? We know the Earth is not like 3,000 years old. There was something here before all this. Absolutely. And I think we have to also get past the idea that this was all done with slaves pulling on ropes. The movement of these massive stones, and the precision with which these buildings were constructed is just absolutely staggering. When you think of the Great Pyramid of Giza, there's not a skyscraper in New York City that's built with that kind of accuracy. It's just astounding, what they were able to accomplish way back whenever it was. And how did they do it? What kind of technology? They had to have something, when you're quarrying 27-ton limestone beams from 500 miles away, you just don't drag that stuff across the desert. And the precision with which those beams were cut is just astounding. Yeah, I've got a question from our Facebook group here, and they're asking that, do you believe in the pyramid power structure? There's a theory of this, that there are pyramids in Bermuda, all over the place, that are here, that power the planet in a certain way. That's an interesting theory. I know that I've
I don't know that I've heard that before, but I've heard of the other theories that say that there was an interlinking between all of these pyramid structures.
Right, like a grid.
And it was like a grid around the planet, a communications grid. And that, I can buy that. Where these things were built all over the place, including in the South China Sea and Malaysia and those areas. These massive pyramid structures. Mm-hmm. Why the pyramid, and why so massive, and what was going on with all that?
Well, since we're in the UFO community, I gotta ask too. Do you believe that the Atlanteans discovered anti-gravity? We've been talking about Lazar and his propulsion stuff lately, and do you believe they designed this stuff and maybe even aircraft?
Yeah, I did that. I put that in the book that they actually had aircraft, and it was the aircraft that lifted all these stones, and they used magnetic levitation principles. So we have these maglev trains that can lift a 400,000 ton train. Granted, only a few inches, but it can lift it and move it at phenomenal speeds. So why not advance that a little bit further and have these people be able to go up into the realms of space and be able to also move heavy objects like these stones that they built with. So right. I put that all in the book. I absolutely do believe it.
And see, I haven't read the book yet. So a lot of us know that we think about all these things when we think about Atlantis. But the one thing I like that you mentioned in here that got my attention was, you've got several stories going on in the book, but the idea of this cabal-like power that's behind everything, that's hiding all this information, I can't say that that's not real either. I mean, why would Dick Cheney have cylinder seals and stuff like that and all of these different things in his office? I've told the story of my cousin where when they went over in the military, they were told if they found any structures or monuments to report it immediately, to take that stuff away. Seems like somebody's trying to hide something.
Yeah, and there's got to be something to it, because too many people have postulated on it, and well, it can't all be true. That there are these stories that like the movie National Treasure, things like that. That these are things that you say, these are plausible. This is very plausible. What happened to a lot of these ancient treasures? They were brought, to the civilization that was winning the wars, and they hid them, and they're probably squirreled away in many places. And I think that is also true of ancient technology. There are some places that, some people have unlocked the secrets of it. They say Tesla actually unlocked the secrets of being able to lift objects using his form of electricity. And I always forget whether it was AC or DC, but and then you have I don't know if you're familiar with the guy at the Coral Castle down in Florida. You ever hear about that?
No.
Okay, there's a place down in Miami. And it was this Hungarian guy back in the 50s. His girlfriend deserted him or whatever, and he lived like a hermit in this area. And he cut these massive pieces of coral and stood them upright and balanced them so that you can go up to this, like 14-ton monolith and just touch it with your finger and it'll rotate. And nobody saw him. He had no equipment, and nobody saw him do this, but somehow he got all of this coral. And he just made these, it's like a gigantic park it was a monument to his lost love, with these giant chairs and things like that, all made out of coral. And nobody saw him move anything. He had no equipment to move or lift any of this heavy stuff. But people would go by each day, and all of a sudden there's a new thing being erected, or it was already up, overnight. Nobody knows how he did it.
Right. Yeah, and we all know that every time we talk about sources of energy as well, natural sources of energy, solar, wind, water, they get stepped on, don't they? I mean, they get stepped on very, it's just a little too obvious that. And I'm not trying to turn this into a political thing at all, but it's just a little too obvious that every time we try to tap into something like that would change our lives for the better, and we know the energy's there, our industries walk all over it. They don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Back in the late 70s, Jimmy Carter had established a fund for federal investment into research into solar and wind power. And when Ronald Reagan was elected, he cut that budget right down to nothing. And it was like, so solar didn't get the same boost that nuclear fuel had gotten, nuclear power had gotten back in the 50s. That was all heavily government subsidized back in the 50s. And so when you have all your campaign financing coming from these wealthy carbon producing businesses, it's but there's a great line is, it's hard to get you to change your mind when you're being paid not to, so you've had the oil companies have been accused of hiding advanced alternative energy technologies, buying up patents and things like that. It's I don't know how true that is. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me. Corporate greed is not anything new, we've seen it today. This people, if you go over to Europe, particularly over to the Netherlands and Denmark, the whole North Sea is just lined with windmills. It's a beautiful sight to see, and they're powering their countries with them. And you come over here and you try to put up a windmill, and you got a 10-year court fight on your hands.
Yeah, they squashed it on every turn. Even the electric car, they just crush those things. So hopefully that'll change. And what I'm curious though, and this is something that I find a little interesting, is that you could have wrote this book actually kind of like John Anthony West wrote Serpent in the Sky. You could have wrote, a fact book, but you decided to put it in a novel and make stories about it. What made you want to do that?
Well, because I was so intrigued by these stories, of West and Boval and Hancock and Dunn, and I said, but I think that the audience for that is narrow. What I wanted to do is I wanted to get this information out to a much broader audience, people who just read novels for fun. And what I found is I've had readers come up to me and just, with their eyes popping, going, boy, this is just amazing. I didn't realize all this was, was true. And, because all the stuff about the pyramids is absolutely factual. But whether it's a power plant or not is questionable, but the stuff about the mathematics of the pyramids, and everybody, people that normally wouldn't read something like this, have read it, and they're telling me that they're just absolutely fascinated. So that was what I was really hoping to do with this. It's just, and I have a lot of women readers because I go to these book selling events, and women are the biggest buyers, which is really interesting. So I have these middle-aged women that, I had two of them come up to me at a book event last week, and they'd each bought the book from me last year, and one of them bought another one to use it as a gift this year. And, these are women probably in their late 50s. And, they were just thrilled with, this story. They said it just caught their imagination, something that they hadn't really thought about. And I feel like I'm doing my part in getting this stuff out to a wider audience,
Right. And I think there's something to be said, because I know you've talked about the precision of the mathematics as well, because that's one of the most fascinating things about it, right? Now, I used to frame houses, Brian, with people that knew math and construction, and they still, how when you lay the concrete and you put the green plates up and you try to get everything square, so the rest of the house has a good square, solid foundation, and everything's square and plumb, all that stuff. It never was perfect, right? Not even today. It never was perfect, but the pyramids seem to be. That's what's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's that's the sides measure to within 1/1000th of an inch true. It's amazing. And, you do the circumference of the base of the Great Pyramid, multiply it by 43,200, and you've got the circumference of the earth. And that, also accounts for the fact that the Earth is slightly bulged in the middle because we're not a perfect sphere. And then the diameter from the top of the pyramid to the base is times 43,200 is the exact diameter of the Earth from the North Pole. It's like, and all these other measurements, when you divide the sides by 100 or 1,000 or something, you get 365.24 all over the place. You're coming up with a measurement of 365.24, exact number of days in a year. Gosh, you think they're trying to tell us something?
Right.
And the 4 points of the 4 corners are exactly perfectly aligned with the precession of the equinox. So it's that type of precision is absolutely extraordinary. And this is supposedly built by a newly emerging culture 2,500 years before Christ. I don't think so.
Yeah. It doesn't line up, but I've heard that that you believe that the people of Atlantis were, in fact, the original Egyptians. I would love to believe that. I think that would be really cool if that was true.
Yeah, I think again, if whether you use my theory of Antarctica or you take any other theory, that if Atlantis was an island that was sinking and all of the vast majority of the population, had to evacuate, well, and it was 12,500 years ago. Well, why not Egypt? Egypt is a nice savanna. It's rainy and fertile. So that very well could have been, the beginning that, the Egyptian population might very well have begun with Atlanteans. Yeah.
Right. And do you plan on writing some more books about this topic?
I don't know. I spent so much of myself on this one that I'm not sure what I've got next. My next effort is really, it's a baseball story, but people say to me, gee, can you do a sequel? And I'm not going to spoil the end for you, but when you see the end, you're saying, how do you do a sequel to that? So it's but I am fascinated by so many of these other phenomena. These great structures that were built. I was reading something just the other day about in the Mayan, one of the Mayan constructions there. One of the stones is it wasn't Mayan. It was Machu Picchu. One of the stones is 200 tons, and it was quarried miles away and somehow got lifted up to the top of that mountain to be part of that structure. And it and it's all like a big jigsaw puzzle. It's like, how the hell did they do that? It's again, it's more than ropes and slaves. It's there's some advanced technology that preceded us. And, there are those that argue that it was ancient aliens. I'm thinking that it was a native culture to this world that was just very advanced. They had maybe their 10 or 15,000 year cycle before they faded, and then our cycle started. Maybe that was it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think for sure. But the one thing that I, before we let you go here, because I know you got, so tomorrow night, by the way, if you guys want to hear more, he's going to be on Linda Howe's program, which is Earth Files. Everybody here is familiar with that program, so to check that out too. But you got a really good point about the music. I just got through talking to Kevin Estrella, he's a guitarist who plays everything in 432 hertz, and he believes in the same type of technology that music and sound is something that we haven't really used to our benefit, and that it's possible. I'm thinking that you believe that that's what they use too, is sound and frequency and resonance.
Well, I read a wonderful book several years ago by this PhD research psychiatrist, and I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, but the book was called Musicophilia, and he said that basically 99% of the planet's population are oriented to music. Some of them just like to listen to it. Some like to sing it. Some like to dance to it. Some like to play musical instruments, and some of them are absolutely phenomenal. The Eric Claptons of the world.
Right.
But music is in us. It's a natural part of our being. And he talked about some of the research subjects he had. There was I might get this wrong, but it was a guy who had a car accident. I think he had been a dentist or something like that, and had no particular interest in music. But he had injured his head, And when he came out of recovery after this car accident, all he could do was play music. It was just, he taught himself piano, and he ended up giving concerts. So there's something hardwired into us about music. So I did a whole piece in there about the technology, and it was some interesting stuff I had learned. That some musicians, when they play a note, they actually see a color. Jimi Hendrix was notorious. He'd drive his engineers crazy, and he'd say, no, I want this a darker shade of blue, and I saw a snippet of a Paul Simon rehearsal, and he turned to the bass player and said, no, I want that to be a little bit more brown. It's like, holy crow, But apparently 23% of the population, when they hear music, they see color. And so I thought, well, there's an interesting thing, that music and color are interrelated. And in music, you hear two notes played in harmony, like the Everly Brothers singing, in perfect harmony. Your mind's ear hears actually a third voice. You think there's more than two people singing. It's the same thing with color, and that's where and I did a piece on that in the book about the pointillists, that they discovered that if you put two colors side by side, your mind's eye actually starts seeing a third color, so that's where the whole impressionist pointillist movement came from. So I kind of blended all that theory into saying, this advanced civilization, this was the way they communicated. They did everything by music. And so it's kind of an intriguing argument. I'm sure a million people could try and shoot holes in it, but I do think that we are hardwired for it. And it is something that I think the more we advance ourselves, the more that musical piece is going to become a bigger part of our exploration and our experimentation.
Yeah, and it's cool if you go on YouTube, you can listen to all of the planets. They have a certain, sound and pitch, and everything in space is making noise, and we just don't know it, right? It's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, and our planet vibrates in the key of F sharp, and so that was Dunne's argument, was that the pyramid is built on a solid piece of granite, which is, of course, a very resonant stone. And with the Earth vibrating at this very low level, way below what we can hear, but it's vibrating in the key of F sharp. And so he was arguing that, that you take that vibration and convert that into A, and do it at a high frequency, and you can convert hydrogen into pure energy. Because hydrogen will convert to pure energy with a highly stimulated A chord. But that's way up the spectrum. So it's just kind of like really cool stuff,
Right.
And I just started throwing it all together, and I built a story around it with some good, strong characters. I got a love story. I got comedy. I got bar fights. I've got everything but a pickup truck and a dog in it. So I'm not going to be appeal to a lot of my country fans, but it's I think a fun book to read. It's the Song of Atlantis. Yeah.
Well, listen, I know you're a busy man. I thank you for coming by and letting us know about this book, and I really appreciate your time. How can everybody find the book? It's on Amazon pretty much everywhere?
It's on Amazon, and both paperback and Kindle. So, and Amazon, well, anyway, so you have but it's right there, and it's been getting great reviews. So it's getting 5-star reviews all the time. I'm real pleased with that. And they aren't just my family members who are writing those things. So, it's, I'm real pleased with how this has come out. So hopefully everybody will enjoy it as much. So, and it's a good stocking stuffer. So if you're in a holiday giving mood and you're not in a reading mood, at least get it and give it to somebody else.
Well, I'm all for it. Thanks, Brian, for coming on Lighting the Void. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim.
I hope to see more books written about this or written by you.
Okay, I hope so too.
Thanks for coming on the show, man.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we'll be right back. And what I want to do is I want to keep this discussion going with you guys. Tonight we're going to discuss Atlantis, and that's what we're going to be doing tonight. I'm going to bring on Eric, Dan, the phone lines will open up, and we'll be right back.
listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
The truth is out there.
There's something out here.
And so are we. KTOK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
Do you ever wonder why there's so much show in politics? Do you ever wonder why America's not getting fixed? Ever wonder why our media is not reporting the news? They report only their biased opinion. Are you tired of feeling like a controlled rat? Do you wonder what's next? If you're looking for answers, join me, Ronnie McMullen, for my new show, Deep Waters Radio. That's Deep Waters Radio. Monday nights, 9 p.m. Pacific, right here on the Fringe FM.
Hi, this is Aaron Hunter, host of Real Paranormal Activity, the podcast where we tell real paranormal experiences of people from around the world. And we also conduct interviews with authors, investigators, psychics, and mediums. Real people, real stories, real fear. Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on the Fringe FM. See you then.
Hi, guys. Matt Ray with America's First News. And if you're like me, you're probably still looking for that special Christmas gift for your wife or girlfriend. Treat her to the very best this year. The world's softest pajamas from Pajamagram. Because they are the world's softest pajamas, they're lighter than a cloud, softer than a bunny. They're like cashmere, only better, and you'll love the way they look. She'll love the way they feel. The softness, the warmth, the comfort. And if you're like me, you can't stand wrapping presents. It's tough to do. Well, get this. Pajamagram includes free gift packaging. All you have to do is make the order, and delivery is guaranteed by Christmas. Plus, they're backed by a 100% lifetime guarantee. You risk nothing but the look on her face, guys, when she opens the Pajamagram. So go to Pajamagram.com right now. That's Pajamagram.com. Tell them Matt Ray sent you. That's Pajamagram.com. Tell them Matt Ray sent you.
When I'm done running with the wolves after hunting down a half-ton bison, I look forward to a mind-teetering escapade evening on the Fringe FM.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
This is Cortana from Shift Happens, telling you to pour a glass and park your ass because you're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM. Shifthead.
Folks, this is very important information. What's to be said about CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. Our CBD is made from hemp and has 0.003 THC, which means this wonderful product won't get you high, no matter what amount you take. What does CBD do for the body? My hands are tied. But you can Google CBD benefits and be astounded. When you're finished reading, you'll want to log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com and purchase. Life is good when you feel good. People are tired of pain. People are asking for non-GMO organic products to help them with, you fill in the blank. Legal in 49 states, and again, our CBD is made from hemp. Ancient Life Oil is about helping people one by one by one. If you wonder how good the product is, the CEO takes it every day without miss. AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Have a great day.
Alex. I was thinking about the cops because I was looking at photos and stuff online. It seems like more and more I'm seeing police with tattoos, and I'm sorry. I can't tell the gangbangers from the cops now. I mean, what if they had them on their face? Now, that would be crazy because that's where it really originates from. A lot of people don't know that. I know it's a big thing now on like rappers and everybody's doing it. Gang members have them. Everybody's kind of doing it now. Musicians and tattoos on their face, crosses, crucifix and stuff like that. Crucifixes, that's what's really funny to me because it's all satanic. All of it. All of it. All of it. Tattoos are straight from hell. Hell sent. Straight from hell. Straight from the bowels of hell. All tattoos. All tattoos, period. End of story. Oh, you didn't know that? Because they were trying to represent the actual demon gods that they worshipped. Straight from hell. Pure evil. Straight from the bowels of hell from Satan himself.
KTOK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
Howdy, this is Catalina, and you're listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop.
welcome back to Lighting the Void. The topic of discussion tonight is Atlantis, and I've got the Reverend Dan Lopez here with me as well. I tried to get Markham in here, but you never know what he's doing in his science lab. And you can always call on the show. It's 1-800-588-0335. You can text in at 501-777-5631. And I know that Brian's still kind of hanging out in the background with us, which is cool. And here's the thing. I think that all of us really want to believe this. You know, there is kind of a little bit of evidence about this. I think there is. If you look at what was it that they said that was evidence? The deep sea surroundings, something about, and you guys might have to help me on this, but the distribution of the fauna and flora, the way it was set up, that there's a little bit of evidence that there's Atlantis, right? But the whole fact, the one thing that blows me away more than anything is the Sphinx, the water erosion, the story of the deluge. It lets us know we can't just stop talking about it. It lets us know that our history is wrong. Everything about our history is wrong. And I know that Edgar Casey had his say about Atlantis, and that's why I wanted to bring Dan on here too, because Dan knows quite a bit about Edgar Casey, but didn't, and you could correct me about this if I'm wrong, Dan, didn't he already prophesy that we were going to find Atlantis by now, around this time?
Well, the whole association had funded a couple of people who had gone down to Cuba and to survey the area and do the research on the area, and they've already found lots of stuff, but they came out with some information and then they shut it up. There was another person that they funded to have information about the Hall of Records, and they had him go over to Egypt, and he got in and he was starting to talk, and then all of a sudden he wound up shutting up, and not only shutting up, but completely dismissing anything about Casey. So it's funny how the information from Edgar Casey can get out there, then all of a sudden it gets shut down.
I just remember him saying something about it. He also said something about Jesus reincarnating, and also was back in the days of Atlantis. But here's the thing that interests me the most, and I know you guys have seen this. All of the secret societies talk about Atlantis, or at least their higher ups. Their higher up Masons talk about Atlantis. So many people in these mystery schools talk about it. Why? If there's nothing to it, if it's not real, why do these people that know esoteric knowledge that I know is real, some of it I know is real based on experience, are talking about an ancient civilization that science tells us it's not real, never existed? And I think I think they're hiding something. I think Brian's story about the part where somebody's hiding something is right. I don't want to say there's this evil cabal. I'm not that big of a conspiracy buff, but when they've told my cousin, and I'll say it again, look for this stuff. They even gave him symbols on playing cards. Check this stuff out. If you see it, report it to us immediately. They wanted to get all of that stuff out of the desert. They didn't want anybody knowing. They wanted all of that stuff. That doesn't make sense to me. That tells me they're either hiding something or that stuff is worth a lot of money. Could be both. I think Eric's here with us. You here, Eric?
Yes, I am.
What do you think about it all, brother? I need a scientist point of view here.
Well, there's so much, the whole thing about Atlantis, basically, first time it shows up in writings is Plato's dialogue called Timaeus and the Critias, and that's about 360 BC. And in his narrative, Atlantis was not a peaceful society. It was a warlike society, and they had they were very adept at making war. And part of the naysayers is, the people that say Atlantis doesn't exist, they look at his narrative and they chalk it up to he needed a villain of exceptional strength to let the Athenians conquered to make the Athenians look good. And that's part of the whole Greek, the Greek storytelling is you have to, it's no good to go beat up on somebody who's your equal or less. It's got to be somebody much more powerful. So in a way, they're saying Atlantis was merely a writing, just a tool of writing. It wasn't so much a real place. But then it shows up in maps in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean in the 1690s. So where does the truth lie?
Right. Do you think we're ever going to find out about this? Ever? Is this ever going to be answered? There's a lot of ocean out there, folks. They're still finding stuff. We found a new species of shark not too long ago. How does that happen? There's a lot of ocean out there. I think it's still down there. I think we're going to find something. It's like another planet down there.
Yeah. And it's easier to explore space, and we know more about the surface of the moon than we do about our own oceans. To explore the oceans is a very dangerous, equipment heavy.
Didn't you used to dive? You used to dive, right?
Oh yeah. You get down to 100 feet and you can feel, if you're carrying extra weight like I am, once you start getting compressed down there, it's a little harder to breathe. Right. You can feel that. But in order to, really go into the depths of the oceans, we would have to make a fleet of autonomous drones that could, scan on their own and go to, I think it's called the abyssal depths or the benthic depths. You've got to be so deep. And we still wouldn't be able to find everything. I don't know. I think ocean exploration ought to be more of our key.
Well, that's not where the tax money goes. You know that. Well,
yeah, I know. I think it should.
Here's the thing, though.
I wish mine would.
The idea of Atlantis was that all, like North America, South America, Africa, all these places, it's that area was all one thing. Well, here's something interesting. To when I study philosophy and everything, the Phoenicians come up, right? Now, the Phoenicians are a very mysterious group of people. You can't really get a base of where they come from. But apparently they were the first nation in the Eastern Hemisphere to use a phonetic alphabet, right? The characters being regarded as just signs for sounds. Now, it's a pretty curious fact that an equally early date, we find a phonetic alphabet in Central America. So that tells me right there, that's at least, I would say, circumstantial evidence that the two continents were connected in some way.
Well, let's not forget that all of the land masses were at one time this thing called Pangea. It was this gigantic land mass, and it slowly drifted apart. Europe and Asia, Europe, Africa, that drifted apart, and North America, that whole bit drifted apart on our tectonic plates. And I'm not, some people say, well, Pangea predates humanity. And I think if we look at some of the evidence, I'm not so sure that the timeline for humanity is right. I think it's off.
Well, I've got a text in here from, I think it's a 610 area code. It says there is definitely something to sound. I've tried the HemiSync. I think they're texting too fast. I've tried the HemiSync albums, and I've had my first spiritual experience. So there's something to sound. Yeah, I get that. There's something to sound, but I don't know that it comes from Atlantis. I think if you go back and read Manly P. Hall's, now Manly P. Hall is somebody's like, oh God, Manly P. Hall again, right? But here's the thing, man. He knew so much. I still haven't figured out to this day how he knew all of this knowledge. He just knew everything about ancient wisdom. And yet He wrote an entire manuscript about Atlantis, and he wrote it as if it was true. I mean, he presented the evidence and presented theories and a story, but then again, why would he talk about it? Why would he talk about the Kabbalah, all of these different energetic systems like we discussed last night, and then write a book about Atlantis and say, give us the idea that this is where it came from? You don't have to step on everything just because you're a scientist. You do know that, right, Eric?
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying.
No, I'm just playing.
I believe that. No, I do believe that there was an Atlantis. I think. Like I said, I take, yes, I'm a scientist, but there's a lot of what we take as scientific fact, or we don't question what we've been told from kindergarten out. And I don't think it's true. I think there's enough evidence out there that humanity as a culture, not as, apes swinging in trees and that kind of thing. I think what we would look at as a modern human goes way further back into the history than we're told. Whether it's because they haven't found the right thing to, the right piece of evidence, or whether they've suppressed the evidence. But yeah, I have no doubt that our, modern humans stretch way further back than we're told.
This is another one of those things, man, where I get frustrated because I feel like it's true, but I also feel like we're never going to know, I don't want to die like everybody else. This sounds really bad, but I don't want to die like everybody else does and say, well, I just, I've figured out nothing. I hope everything's good. We'll see you later.
Right.
That's Atlantis to me. If somebody proved that Atlantis was real, that would be awesome. It would be validating for a lot of reasons. I think
I'd end up selling a lot of books.
You'd end up selling a lot of books. Is that what you said? Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be great, though, wouldn't it? Like somebody finally discovered that Atlantis was real, and that we've got solid evidence about it. Everything would change. And we always want to talk about UFOs and disclosure about UFOs. And yes, the government admitted that they're investigating UFOs, and that's enough to shake up a paradigm. But it didn't. Did it shake it up enough? Did it change anything?
Not really.
It didn't change anything, right? They're like, we spent $22 million on UFOs, and yeah, they're real, and nobody cared. We cared, but nobody in our neighborhoods cared. I still bring this evidence to people nowadays, and I'm like, man, they validated this. What do you think? Oh, really? Yeah, we're the Nutter Butters, They don't care, right? So
exactly.
But what if they said, okay, well, they validated that our history is wrong, everything about it, which we really kind of already have. But I mean, in a ship, let's just say somebody discovered something in the ocean, pulled it up, a piece of Atlantis, that would be great. That would solve a lot of this stuff. Probably wouldn't do a radio show anymore. Or at least half of it would be gone. But
Yeah, where would we be about the speculation?
I don't think it changed anything. I mean, people, okay, UFOs are real. Big friggin' deal. I still have to turn the alarm clock off at 6:30 a.m. and commute into a job I hate. So
yeah,
I think if it impacts people on a basis in which it hits them in the pocketbook or it hits them in the routine, then it's going to make a difference. Other than that, it's just an interesting footnote.
Yeah, you're right. What was you saying earlier, Brian?
What was that? Well, I forget what I was saying. Go ahead, move on.
There's something about but he's right. If it doesn't impact your relationship, if it doesn't impact your money, what is it? I had a radio coach who used to tell me this stuff. Make sure you talk about money, relationships, and as long as you can talk about that. I'm like, I don't want to talk about that stuff. Who cares? We all have money problems. We all have relationship problems. I'm not going to be the guy that's going to tell you how to make it better. Go watch Dr. Phil.
Right.
But you're right. That's what mainly people are focused on. But Brian makes a valid point. The reason why we're focused on it, Jason Quitt talked about this last night. All of the technology that we could have right now if we just would allow it to happen. All we got to do is allow it to happen. And you guys are going to say, well, you're a liberal Democrat, whatever, but it's true, man. The capitalist idea of things has really, is it like a sin to say that capitalism isn't such a great thing? Is that a sin?
Well, in this country, it might be.
It's not that great of a thing to me sometimes because I see what happens to progress, There is no.
Well, I think it's a good thing if you're on the right side of capitalism. If you're under the heel of capitalism, no, it's as oppressive as anything else. But if you look at the alternative, it's not that much better.
Mm.
I mean,
what are you
all
saying?
of it, no matter what political or what economic system you are under, you will fail because there's no way to get human greed and human ego out of the equation. If you read Animal Farm, that's Animal Farm.
I just got through saying we didn't want to talk about this.
But if you read Animal Farm, it's as much about our own capitalist culture as it is about communism.
Scott
all
just
animals
emailed
are created equal.
He said, I think that we will find this email we just got in here. I think we will find about Atlantis once aliens make themselves known to us. There is something to Atlantis. I'm not sure I believe it as a superior civilization, but I am more in the camp of thinking Atlantis had something to do with aliens as a scientific outpost or something like that. Governments know about Atlantis, but are afraid to share that knowledge with us. I agree. But this is why aliens will have to tell us the truth of Atlantis. By the way, I love your network. Thanks, Scott. I appreciate that. Now, Manly P. Hall did say that there was masters or whatever that came to us and they habitated, but he said on the North Polar Cap. He didn't say Antarctica, but he did talk about that beings or masters, he never really said they were aliens, came from another place and landed on the North Polar Cap. That's in that book that I sent you, Eric, What the Ancient Wisdom Expects from Its Disciples. Did you remember reading that part?
That part I do not remember.
He also said...
I read so much Manly P. Hall, it all kind of runs together.
But he also said that these masters in these societies manipulate the very societies and secret societies and structures of our government today. While he was a Mason, admitted that in that book. Nobody's like, well, they just admitted it right there. I think Josh Reeves was the only other guy on radio that really blew that up, that was trying to let people know, hey, here's a guy admitting that there's something going on, manipulating everything. But I don't know that I just don't know that it's aliens. Could be.
I don't know. I don't think you need aliens to be. I think we humans are more than capable of screwing ourselves over. Our
shown that time and time again.
Examples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I get that. I know we got to take a break here, but yeah. So if you want to email the show, you can email. It's at contact@lightingthevoid.com. The phone lines are open, I believe. I know yesterday some people tried to call in and they didn't work, but you can text in at 501 777-5631. I also want to say, I want to make sure to mention that I forgot to mention it during the beginning of the show, that you can support the network and show by donating. There's an Amazon portal there. Use the Amazon portal if you shop on Amazon. It doesn't cost you a penny, and we get like a 5% kickback. You could buy glue and we'll get 3 cents or something. So, I mean, I don't know why they do it. It's crazy, really. If you think about it, it is. It's kind of crazy. But it's a way to support the show without you having to, spend your money. Because I know some people don't want to spend their money and they're worried about if I'm going to go buy honey buns and Nutter Butters with it. Just use the Amazon thing and you won't have to worry about that. But we'll be right back. We're going to keep talking about Atlantis. Make sure that you sign up for the newsletter. I promise it's coming, guys. I promise, with that free book. We'll be right back.
Hey, Joe?
Yes, sir.
Roger, roll, Discovery.
This is a UFO Seekers News Update. Before Bob Lazar became famous for revealing secrets about Area 51, he was firing off professional fireworks in the deserts of Nevada with friends, according to a Wired article from 1994. This hobby fully took shape sometime around 1985. When he was a kid, Lazar resided in Long Island, New York, where he was exposed to high-grade fireworks through local friends and families who manufactured the professional pyrotechnics. It's during this time that Lazar learned the basics of the fireworks process. He notes that the friends allowed him to tie the strings but didn't allow him to play with flammable materials. Lazar's fireworks affinity then began to take shape later in life when he was living in Woodlands Hills, California, where he was employed at Fairchild Syncom. One day while out on a drive with a friend named Tagliani, they came across another friend playing with the pyrotechnics device. This individual invited the two to a motorcycle event held at El Mirage Dry Lake Bed in California's Mojave Desert. Tagliani and Lazar attended the motorcycle gathering at the Dry Lake Bed, where they fired off their creations but were eventually shut down by the Bureau of Land Management. Then in 1985, Lazar and Tagliani both moved to Las Vegas. This is after Lazar worked at Los Alamos Laboratories in New Mexico. But now that the two friends were settled in the middle of a huge desert, they began scouting areas for their next fireworks display. The two friends chose a location and Lazar began manufacturing the fireworks. Their first fireworks display at a dry lake bed in Nevada drew a crowd of roughly 50 to 75 people, of which were mostly friends. Next, the following is stated in the Wired article from 1994. Quote, "But as the two attempted to outdo their work each successive year, planning and executing their private parties became a time-consuming task. In 1988, Lazar enlisted a troop of capable friends. United by chemistry, physics, and electronics, they came from all walks of life and all kinds of day jobs. NASA controllers and electronics specialists, computer programmers and technicians, propulsion system experts and car mechanics, even real estate appraisers and contractors. Together they formed the core creation of the Desert Blast." Unquote. The event would soon be named Desert Blast. Lazar's girlfriend, Linda Wilson, and others close to Lazar began assisting at the ever-growing event. In the year 1990, over 450 people attended as word began to spread about the annual fireworks event. Lazar was quoted by Wired as saying, quote, "It was starting to get out of hand." On the website ufomind.com, the following is stated by Desert Blast organizers in a flyer or document that's been archived by the website. Quote, "Welcome to Desert Blast, a secret annual gathering of pyrotechnics enthusiasts and a private fireworks party that in some ways resembles a July 4th picnic. Just delete the youngsters and the mayor's speech. Substitute a jet car, a gun collection, and a stark desert setting where death by dehydration is a genuine possibility. Each summer, a group of about 150 thrill seekers converges here, by invitation only, to celebrate the joys of combining oxygen with explosive chemicals. They're led by principal instigators Bob Lazar, who describes himself as a freelance scientist and businessman, and real estate appraiser Gene Huff." Unquote. One staple of Desert Blast was the destruction of Teddy at the end of each year's event. Teddy appears to have been a mock-up teddy bear firework. As a final note in the Wired article, the author mentions Desert Blast Commandment number 1, quote, "Thou shalt not talk about UFOs." Unquote. In the ufomind.com archive document from Desert Blast, the writers jokingly add, "No, you can't stay at Bob's house." We don't know what happened after the mid-90s to Lazar's event. Maybe they went underground with it to protect Lazar's privacy or preserve the event due to overcrowding. But now at least we have an inside look into the famed man without a mention of UFOs directly from the time period. To view the ufomind.com document and the Wired article from 1994, visit ufoseekers.com for the links. You've just heard a UFO Seekers News Update.
Do you want to lose weight but have no idea where to begin? The Fast Start Diet, a 3-day weight loss plan, is the answer. 3 days of nutritionally balanced, calorie-restricted meals delivered right to your door. No shopping, no measuring, and no cooking. Everything is prepared for you and ready to eat at home or on the go. The Fast Start Diet has all the amazing benefits of intermittent fasting without starving. We've helped thousands of people who have struggled to reach their weight loss goals. Isn't it time we helped you? With the Fast Start Diet, you'll lose weight and feel great.
Find us on Amazon or go to faststartdiet.com and use promo code POWERSAVE to get 10% off your first box. And as a special bonus, we will include our #1 rated appetite suppressant spray free with your order. Whatever your diet plans are, start with us at faststartdiet.com and use promo code POWERSAVE.
Hi, this is Sammy. Join us in the Deep South as we're lighting the void with Joe Roop on the Fringe FM.
All right, welcome back to Lighting the Void. We just got through interviewing Brian Power about his book Song of Atlantis, which I was going to play when we came back. And I want to thank Tim Dole for UFO Seekers News. You can text in the show at 501-777-5631. I think the phones are broke. So if you call, it probably won't work. That's kind of sad. I'm sorry. But anyways, you can text. You can email us at contact@lightingthevoid.com. We also have a Spreaker chat. God love the Spreaker people. They're probably the only people that hang out with us through the entire show. But we do got a text in here from a 909 area code that says, "Welcome to classical anarchy, Joe Roop. Anarchists have been fighting capitalism since the 1800s. Yeah, true. But I have met some anarchists that seem to me like that they're grinding the back of their molars off every time they go outside, you know. And I mean, they're not very calm. They're angry, and I understand. But no matter what kind of circumstance you live in, you can't go around pissed off all the time, you know? And I know some of you know who I'm talking about, but I get it. Mm-hmm. I never consider myself an anarchist. Believe it or not, I don't think government is a bad thing if it's done properly. I just don't think humans are capable of doing it properly because we got all these hang-ups. Let's see. Oh, this is cool. Ryan Gable emailed the show, host of The Secret Teachings, and he says this. He says, what if Atlantis were merely a concept? You know, like Platinopolis, a utopian concept, concealing wisdom and morality. What if it were a series of locations and only a name to apply them? We say sports stadium, and there are thousands around the world. What if Atlantis were both of these things and more? Perhaps we're looking at Atlantis to one-dimensional and rigidly. Perhaps Atlantis has already been found, and we are waiting on some textbook to print a chapter on the subject before it's accepted. But what if our fascination has taken a concept and it turned into a real location by which we take bits and pieces of history and mold them to our belief? I think Brian Gable just broke the internet right there. Right there with that. Yeah. But he's right, though. You know, a lot of esoteric knowledge is told in stories. Take Revelations, for example. Everybody's looking for the apocalypse. But there, if you really read into it, I think it's talking about the transmutation of the soul and the dark night of the soul. It also has some sacred geometry in there. It also has astrology in there. So you can take the story literally and, you know, wait till Jesus comes back on the white horse and all that stuff and, you know, get the rapture going. Or you can really pick it apart and see that there's tons of symbolism in there. I think that's what he's talking about. I hope it is. But I don't know. I think once Atlantis, if somebody really discovered Atlantis, they probably wouldn't call it Atlantis. They would probably come up with a name for it, and it wouldn't matter. Would it matter? Would it be bigger than the UFO subject? That's what I was really thinking about earlier, guys. Like, would it make a dent? Do you think people would care? They didn't care about they did not care. Let's be honest with each other. I mean, there are more people interested in ufology now than there was, granted. But as a society, we didn't care when the government said, yeah, we know UFOs are real and we study them. That should have been huge, but it wasn't. Why? The hell's wrong with us? We're in big trouble.
Maybe because we've been sick and tired of being lied to for the longest time. Most of us freaking heard the news and we were like, thanks for waking up.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is nobody here knew that cared. I can go to all of Grant County. Crap, I just gave away my location. Remind me not to do that again. I can go to all of this county here, okay, and talk about it, and there might be 5 people that actually care about it. 5 in this county. If anybody's from Arkansas, you know what I'm talking about. But if somebody discovered Atlantis, then maybe it would change. But I don't think people care. I think people want to believe what they want to believe. Right, Dan? That's what you've been telling. People just want to believe whatever they want to believe. Oh, shit, I'm starting to take... It's getting dark now. Doesn't matter. You know, they just want to believe whatever. And whatever suits them, right? Like you learn this the first time we learned this is when we battled religion in our lives for the first time. And we said, these texts don't really make sense. They don't make sense with reality. I mean, esoterically they do, but they don't. And everybody looks at you like you're crazy. And then,
what do you mean there are giants?
Right. And then you come to this community, and now everybody's a starseed alien. So there's, no offense to all the starseeds out there, but you know what I mean. Where is the rational line? No wonder the anarchists are grinding their teeth. I'm starting to get upset. My face is getting hot. I think I'm going to write...
Tell me the truth, damn it.
Well, no, I'm just saying, I get it why some of these people write, like Brian, why he writes fiction. Because you don't really get involved with the battle, You don't have to deal with people. You don't get involved with the battle. You can express yourself, what you believe is true, through a story. And if somebody wants to read it, that's great. They can read it, take it in, and say, hey, man, this guy's really on to something, which is why we love science fiction and comic books and all of this other stuff.
Right. But that's why they've been writing fiction for the longest time, to disseminate the information. That's why they've been telling stories all the time. They bury the truth in the stories so that they can get the information out, and it's up to you to believe it or not. But, and some people just, pull you to the side, and if you got questions, they'll be like, yeah, of course. Don't you know? You've heard the stories. They're true.
It's sad.
And you're like, what? It's true? And you're like, yeah, it's true.
But
it's sad but that's the way they had to do it for thousands and thousands of years. Otherwise, people would burn them at the stake.
Yeah.
That's true. Look at how all the esoteric knowledge was hidden in mystery schools for fear of what, people, the unenlightened would do
to them. Right, exactly. Yeah. So I thought it was a brilliant way of doing it, and I think that's the best way that you can do it, and especially in this day and age where they're trying to make sure that anything that individualizes the human or brings them to a sense of empowerment. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Free energy? Forget about it. Free energy means that you can go ahead and you can stop working for the man. You can do what you got to do. You can raise your own goddamn food if you want. You can do whatever you want. Get the freaking, you have enough energy to dig for the water that you need. You can irrigate any of the soil that you need. You could learn how to freaking desalinate salt water, which is already out there, but you'd be a lot easier to do it now because you got the energy that you can expend on it. And you don't have to worry about paying for it.
Let's start a commune. Let's all live off the grid. Let's find a location.
What the commune is the freaking planet.
Yeah, but we can get away from that, right? We can live off the grid. When I went out to Las Vegas, I actually met some people. You remember when I told you that I was driving through Death Valley and it freaked me out?
Oh, I think I heard about this town that you're about to say.
And I don't even. It was like a little village
town out there. Yeah, where there's no laws.
Well, I don't know about the laws, but I know that there was no. They were hooked up to nothing. They had solar panels out there. They had wells. It was kind of cool to find somebody because I was freaking out because I had that, what the hell am I doing out in the middle of the desert freak out thing. And then I ran into these little huts and I was like, what is this? I don't really to this day know where I was at. But these people,
there.
You think maybe I went into an alternate dimension or I was hallucinating. But
you were in a mirage.
Yeah, right. But no, man, these people were living off the grid, off of the grid. No hookups. They had no power lines to their house. They had no cell phones. And I was just trying to figure out how to get back to Pahrump, Nevada. And I ended up carrying a conversation with him. And this guy was like, he was fit. He's in shape. And there's no stores anywhere. I didn't stay very long, but I wish I would have now to this day. I wish I would have went back, had my recorder, and just talked to that guy. I probably would have learned all kinds of stuff. Let's do that. Let's start a commune. You want to? Let's all move out somewhere, and then we can just live off the grid, and we'll learn how to astral travel together, and we'll learn how to do CE5 and talk to aliens, and then we don't have to worry about the rest of the world. And we can do like ham radio shows where we broadcast whenever we want to, and nobody really knows when it's going to happen. They just kind of tap into it. That'd be pretty rad.
Kind of like a numbers station.
Yeah. That's the idea. How many's with me? Let's see how many people we got into the chat
I'll do it.
I know
people raise your hands. Raise your damn hands. You over there. Raise your hands.
We see you.
Good. So see Sammy's then.
Well, the thing gets me is how would you do? I mean, you got to find a place that's not. It just seems like they have everything summed up to where if you try and live off the grid,
no way,
they still get you with like property taxes, or the government has some way of meddling coast to coast, border to border.
Well, you know what happens when you don't pay your property tax, right? Look at that.
As if they have the ability. Well, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Dan. I want to hear this.
No, it's okay.
What were you about to say? Were you about to say something naughty?
Naughty.
Yeah.
Naughty.
Well, I mean, Bill Cooper, they did take him out all because he went against taxes. But see, he was being loud about it. All he had to do, he started this whole, do you guys know the name of the club? It was some club you can join where you didn't have to pay taxes, and I forget the name of it. But he was being really loud about it, And how in the hell did we start talking about Atlantis and now we're talking about living off the grid? But anyways, he was being really loud about it and started a club, asked people to join, and that's when all the investigations started happening, when every single agency in the world came after him. And the next thing you know, they shot him and said, well, it was over his dog, couldn't get his dog to calm down, and he got upset, and maybe he pulled a gun. It's not very clear, but we shot him. And now that whole club, the whole anti-tax movement, because he was out to prove that, in our Constitution that we weren't, it says clear, the government has no right to any fruits of our labor monetarily. Income tax is constitutionally wrong. And if you look at it, it's kind of true. But don't pay your taxes and see what happens.
Yeah,
Right.
you lose your stuff. We don't really own any real estate or property. We lease it from the state. Even if my house was paid off tomorrow, the city of Winston-Salem would still be hammering me for property tax every year.
Oh,
Don't pay your property tax, you lose your house. Yeah.
I gave my county away. Now everybody's like, hey, let's move
Stop
back.
bringing it back up.
Delete. Anyways, I've already got one car keeps driving by here looking at me all funny. I've been hit him with the Red Ryder a few times. You guys got one of those, right? The Red Ryder BB gun?
I got a pellet gun of some kind of generic Chinese extraction that's pretty powerful. It'd pop a windshield, I'm sure.
You probably got something rigged up like that. I know you. But anyways, so I think if we lived off the grid, for real, actually this county's, there's some places out here you could do it, and we weren't loud about it. I don't think anybody knows who these people are. And I dang well know some of you listening haven't paid your income taxes in 6 or 7 years. Have you? Be honest. Have you even filed your taxes? Are they coming after you? Oh, see, I got to stop. And they'll be investigating. This is how it starts, right? This is how it all starts.
Exactly.
But but since the Reagan administration, he's right, Brian's right. Conservatives, and I'm not saying I'm a Democrat or conservative, but they've done pretty much everything they could do to block any government support of any type of alternative energy technology. They don't care. There's witnesses the fact that in the Sun Belt states, there are no incentives for installing solar panels whatsoever. I don't even want to mention.
And it was supposed to be huge.
Yeah. My dad.
It was supposed to be huge. There were stocks that were going up for it and everything like that. And then all of a sudden they started spraying the skies like mad.
Yeah. And it's
then
real bad.
Everybody
now.
was complaining. Yeah. Everybody was complaining that, where the hell is the sun?
Ryan Gable.
Well, yeah, I got to wonder about that when I did a contract out in Arizona. There's perfect example of an area that ought to be mandatory. It ought to be mandatory that they're using solar energy. And I didn't see maybe one or two small panels hooked to a house.
Mm.
That whole area is nothing to look at for the most part. It's kind of rosy quartz, kind of grayish pink gravel. I mean, it's not like if you put up a solar farm, you'd be obscuring this great beauty. It's really kind of dull. You drive 30 miles west to go to Needles, California, just to see something green that wasn't a cactus. But I would think areas like that Nevada and these desert states that are wide open, there's no trees, it ought to be mandatory that there's solar power.
Have you guys heard of this Joe Atwill guy? Apparently I need to get him on the show. Apparently Ryan talks about him, talks about all this off-the-grid stuff. But I just don't want to stir up nothing. I've already stirred up enough crap,
From the Carolinas?
I've got plenty. No, Joe Atwill. That's not Joe from the Carolinas, is it? Joe from the Carolinas, who's got a bigger accent than me.
I've heard that guy.
But Ryan did email in, and he said one last thing, that Troy was believed to be a fictional location before it was discovered to exist. That's true. In Turkey.
Absolutely true.
The story of Sleeping Beauty is a good story of what you're discussing. Fairy tale of pure fantasy or fairy tale preserving sacred knowledge. Her birth is attended by fairies and mystical creatures. 6 of the 7 planetary fairies were invited, and the 7th, Saturn, angry not being invited, arrived to curse the child. His curse was to kill the child, but it was reduced by magic of the other 6 fairies. Her curse is to fall into a deep sleep at the behest of evil, which is, again, represents Saturn. Eventually, she pricks her finger on a spindle, which is a symbol of the moving planets, and she falls into a sleep. But falling asleep in the spirit world is being awoken in the physical. Man, dude, Ryan is so deep, man. How can you not love this guy? It is her descent into matter. It's the lesser physical birth, and at death, it is a greater birth, the Christian rebirth, into the spiritual to realize one's divine nature again. The same story is in Beauty and the Beast. The Beast was a prince, though Beauty, bell music and harmony, the Beast is made divine again, and the rose is the symbol of the transformation. And you know this, Joe. Well, thanks, for reminding me. I've pulled Ryan Gable to the side a lot of times, folks, and I've said, look, can you just give me a little bit of your time and tell me how you're saying all this stuff? And he's tried to help me with it. But I think the thing is the dude's a little bit of a genius, maybe.
Yeah.
And he can't really help.
He's been studying forever.
Yeah, he's been reading and studying for a long time. But everybody wants me to stir it up. I can't. I don't want to. I don't want to be the next victim. I don't want to be shot. I want to live. I like life. I mean, there are things that scare me more than death, actually. But it ain't taxes. I'm sorry. Anyways, we're not going to. I don't
now
mind living
for the news.
Yeah, now for the news. But I don't mind living off the grid. But I'd probably still pay my
something
taxes.
Completely different.
Would that make any damn sense, living off the grid and paying your taxes? Though it wouldn't.
I would
Like,
love to live off the grid. If I was younger, I would do that. If I was younger, I'd live off the grid.
Would you pay your taxes?
Hell no. I would figure if I'm living off the grid, I would think that I would. Well, I have a problem with taxes anyway. I think that once you reach retirement age, you've paid enough. My parents still have to pay. They're in their 80s and they've been retired for 20-some plus years, are still having to pay taxes. It's like, okay, once you've made it, once you're out of the workforce, your tax debt, your tax burden is done. I just really think that's crap that people are still paying taxes into their 80s, or you have like old people who run they're on a fixed income and inflation outpaces their income and they can't pay their house tax, their taxes on their property because the municipality they live in have jacked it up unreasonably. And they lose their home. That's wrong.
I've owed like almost $250,000 in taxes at one time, and back taxes at one time.
Mm.
Is that something I should say on the air? Dan, you're supposed to stop me before I say this stuff. But no, I mean...
Too late. We don't know you're saying it till it's already out there.
But, I did. Like, I just... and it didn't make sense. I'll tell you why. When I had that construction business, I made a good amount of money every year, but I paid my employees as contractors. I paid those, what do you call them, 1099s to them, right? I gave them all 1099s. They reported it, but during my divorce and stuff didn't really go right. And so the IRS they came back at me and said I owed all the money. And I said, but what about the paperwork? What about the paperwork of my expenses and the employees that got paid? Well, they'll have to pay their taxes. And I was like, that doesn't make sense. You're charging me for their taxes and mine too. Well, unless if we file, in other words, what they were saying is if they filed it for me, that they were going to get double tax. They were going to get my workers' tax money and they were going to get mine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
the only difference between Bernie Madoff and the IRS is the IRS is government sanctioned. Social Security is the biggest, pyramid scheme scam going. And it's the same thing Bernie Madoff was doing. But the government thinks they have a monopoly on organized crime, so you don't dare try and cut in on their territory.
Yeah. Well, they do. That's what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. Lighting the Void from here on out. We're going to start thanks to Dan Lopez, we're going to start a commune. We're going to live off the grid. We're going to find some solar panels. We're going to learn all this stuff. We're going to astral travel together on our own food, broadcast on ham radio. Probably still have to have the internet. I don't think I could do it without the internet. But other than that, we'll all be out there somewhere, not in this county, but in the desert. If you want to do it, let's do it. Anyways, we'll be right back. I'm Joe Roop. This is Lighting the Void. We're live on the Fringe FM. Stay with us.
KTOK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
All right, everyone, this is Justin from the UK. Excuse the chitty. If you're into the Fringe and you want to hear the brass tacks, my old china plate, Joe Roop and his guests on Lighting the Void will open your mince pies. You need to shut your north and south and use your 10-speed gears and listen to them bubble. You could hear a Barry Crocker, no Brussels, but he ain't no holy friar. Anyway, you be the Barnaby Rudge and take a butcher's.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Your home has needs. It needs a healthy, dry environment all year round. Start by getting rid of the worst air in the basement and crawl space, where the problems begin and make the whole house sick. Introducing the new Smart Wave Ventilation Unit. It has advanced technologies to continuously reduce moisture, mold, and odors, and expel radon, gases, and pollutants. And now, Wave units include carbon monoxide detection to automatically expel air at a high rate and send you an alert. It also has an app so you can remotely monitor the conditions. Wave is a comprehensive, maintenance-free, affordable solution that will transform your entire home. Protect your home and family with what it needs. Give it a new Smart Wave Ventilation Unit. For more information, call 888-717-WAVE. That's 888-717-WAVE. Or go to dryhealthyhome.com. That's dryhealthyhome.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
Greetings, galactic community. This is Suzanne Ross, host of Sci-Spy Radio, every Wednesday evening from 5 to 7 p.m. Pacific. Join me for this brand new show featuring a revolutionary new genre, Sci-Spy, merging science and spirituality to give us answers to the greatest mysteries of creation. Together, scientific discovery and spiritual revelation reveal the truth about who we are, where we came from, why we're here, and where we're going. Tune in to Sci-Spy Radio every Wednesday from 5 to 7 p.m. Pacific and discover the truth for yourself at thefringe.fm.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
Hi folks, it's a holiday season with hope in the air. Things to look forward to and no time for despair. Health can be a challenge, and so can the mail. So Get the Tea wants to help you by giving you a sale. Buy 2 months of Super Tea and get 1 month for free. No limit. That's buy 2 months of Super Tea and get 1 month free. That's a savings of $35. Where? GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Scroll down on the front page and find the buy 2, get 1 free ad. Click it and save. Orders over $100 get free shipping. Send the gift of life. Change tea at GetTheTea.com. We have many non-GMO organic supplements just waiting for you. This holiday season, enjoy health and Thanksgiving with GetTheTea.com. Want to call us? 928-308-0408. That's 928-308-0408. GetTheTea.com is a proud sponsor of doing what's right. That's GetTheTea.com.
Follow The Fringe FM on Facebook and Twitter at The Fringe FM. The Fringe FM loves hearing from you. Have a suggestion, comment, or question? We're all ears. Email talkback@thefringe.fm. Want to know what's on The Fringe FM? Check out our schedule at thefringe.fm.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. Tonight, the topic of discussion is Atlantis, and we're kind of going all over the place with it. Talking about Atlantis and every other aspect. Somehow or another, we've brought Ronald Reagan into the picture. But we have just got through speaking to Brian Power about his new book, Song of Atlantis, which is really cool, which is something that has kind of fascinated me, why people write fiction and they, put truths in there, truths that we know are probably real. And I think I understand it a little bit. But there's something I wanted to bring up that I don't think people stop talking about it because, let's face it, John Anthony West is no longer with us. But one of the things that he had mentioned that I really thought was cool, that he would bring up to everybody, is the idea of progress. And we have this idea, we really believe that human progress is linear. And it took a few times of him explaining it, because I'm a little slow, for me to realize what he was talking about. So we believe that because there were ancient civilizations in the past, that they didn't have the technology, or they weren't as smart, or they were less aware, or whatever, because they were ancient civilizations in the past. There's no possible way they could have technology that's even close to ours. And it's just a common belief because you're kind of taught that in history. Everybody was dumb, then they got smarter, and now we've got all this stuff. But that's not necessarily true. It doesn't have to be true. What we do know now, because of his information and Robert Schoch's finding at the Sphinx, is that there was something here way before any of this. And it's way older than 3,000 years old. And to think that just because it was in the past that these people were dumb or they're stupid or they didn't have technology is crazy. I honestly don't think, and I hope I'm wrong about this, but do you really think that the United States dynasty is going to last as long as the Egyptian one? We're only a few hundred years in and we're already starting to crumble.
Right.
So they had to know something. They had to have been able to tap into something. They got along. Either that or they were just really good slave drivers. I don't know. But to last 3,000 years without crumbling is pretty impressive.
Yeah, when the average is about 300 years. Yeah, that many. We have to actually, when we're discussing Egyptology and their history, have to cut it up into 1,000-year dynasties. And then you even have to go into pre-dynastic Egypt. Like they think that the Sphinx, some people think that the Sphinx was actually there much longer, that it wasn't Khufu didn't build the Sphinx. The Sphinx was already there. And if you look at the head of Khufu that's carved onto the Sphinx, it's obvious that the proportions aren't right. The head is too small for the body.
Yeah, they redid it for sure. Somebody got up there and messed with it again.
Well, you look at their other statuary, and they were meticulous. If you see an Egyptian sculpture, it is the epitome of scale and accuracy. It's just beautiful the way they did these things.
It's so gorgeous.
And to think that they did, here's the Sphinx. They threw all their sense of scale out the window to do this one. And I think Robert Schoch, despite any naysayers, I think Robert Schoch proved definitively that there is water erosion, not only on the Sphinx itself, but in the enclosure that it sits in. You can see water erosion on the sides of I forgot what the term of it is, but it's actually the Sphinx sits down inside this enclosure.
Well, Robert Schoch's main focus now is his new book, when we had him on the program, he talked about Forgotten Civilization, the role of solar outbursts in our past and future. So he started going around and figuring out that there was these big solar outbursts that were causing things to happen. Now, everybody knows that Randall Carlson and Robert Schoch don't totally agree on this stuff. But there's no doubt that there's solar outbursts, and that stuff scares the hell out of me. I mean, the whole idea of the apocalypse, he wrote a really good book on it. It's fantastic. But the whole idea of the apocalypse is kind of freaky. And now we just had an earthquake really close to home. When we start having earthquakes out here in Arkansas, that's when I get a little, oh no, maybe the apocalypse is real. There was an earthquake that struck eastern Tennessee today, which is that's like
4.4.
4.4. That stuff don't happen out here.
Well, that's the New Madrid fault,
right?
And we are way overdue. Geologists and tectonic people say they say that we're overdue.
I don't want to die.
The caldera in Yellowstone, we're overdue for the caldera in Yellowstone should pop someday. It's not a matter of if; it's a matter of when.
For some reason, Eric, when you talk about this earthquake, I feel like that you get happy about it, like you're excited.
It's happy listening to you squirm.
Yeah, like Tool. I can't.
No,
wait
not really. I mean, I'm going to be
away.
as dead as. No, I'm going to be as dead as everybody. It's. But did the dinosaurs think? We think because we're human and we have elevated ourselves above all the other animals that extinction, an extinction level event doesn't apply to us. Well, it does. Mother Nature's a bitch, and we're not. For all our technology, we are no match.
Be positive. Why you got to be so negative?
Well, okay, we're positive.
I'm just playing, brother. You're telling the truth, though, for real. So there was an earthquake that did happen out here, and if you've seen the maps, you've seen these maps that people show. When the great apocalypse comes, they show like the whole West Coast falling off, Florida, and the big split up the Mississippi River, and everybody says that the safe zone is in the Ozarks. Well, first off, if everybody thinks that they're just going to flood into the Ozarks and take over that place, you got another thing coming. All right. Mm-hmm. There's mountain men out there that kill their young. And they're not going to. Look, I could run into a Sasquatch and be less scared of what I saw in the Ozarks one time. You're not going to. It's not a place of safety. I mean, it probably is geographically, but you're not going to be able to, when this earthquake starts, let's say like I'm right on the west of the New Madrid Fault. So for instance, if it started, I'm right where the western side of that big crack is supposed to happen, right? What can I do? Can I get in my car and just start driving west and hope I make it to safety? That's not going to work, right?
Mm-mm.
So we're just screwed. Robert Schoch's got a book out talking about, well, if these solar outbursts happen, we're screwed. I want you guys to think about this. We talk about them spraying the skies. They're spraying the skies, admittingly, right now, to block heat. Is it heat, Eric? What are they admitted that they were doing it in, I forget where the place was, but they admitted that they were doing it to block the sun. To block global warming.
Right, ostensibly. But the thing is, that program started before there was global warming.
But why in the hell would they do it to begin with?
More of a weather manipulation.
Why would they? I'm not talking about. I know a lot of you want to believe that they're doing it to poison us and depopulate you and kill you off and all that stuff. But think, if you wasn't here, they would have nobody to rule over. So that kind of doesn't make sense to me either. So, I mean, they might want to kill a few of us off, but they have talked about time and time again about spraying this stuff to block the heat. Robert Schoch wrote a book about solar outbursts. The government's not going to tell you that they're out doing experiments just in case something happens to prevent a catastrophe. I don't think we could put every airplane we own in the sky and just fill it full of silver, and I still don't think it's going to block Mother Nature from doing what it wants to do. We're going to get wiped out. But to me,
it's like what David Adair was saying that time about if there is a Carrington-level event, society is just pretty much going to go hell in a handbasket because we're going to lose power. And because we've lost power and these oil-filled transformers start blowing up, causing fires. Well, there's not going to be any way to pump water because there's no power. It's just like everything. That's the bad thing about our power grid is everything is so connected to it that if we lose that power grid, we're screwed.
Well, we've been screwed, man, from the day we were born. That's why I don't like to think about that stuff, because you might as well just sit around and go, you seen that movie, What About Bob, where the kid's like, think about it, man. No, really think about it. You're going to die. You are going to die. There's nothing you can do about it. We're close to death now. Just wait. Okay, now we're closer to death. How does that make you feel? And Bob's over there having a freaking panic attack, right? We can't think about this kind of stuff, but yet I think our government does. I honestly, guys, you're going to kill me for saying this. I don't think they're out poisoning us on purpose. It might be an effect of what they're doing, but I don't think they're doing it for population control, and they all want to just live in caves under a mountain somewhere. That doesn't make any sense. Again, they have to have somebody to rule over for everything to work. But
that's true.
But they do admit that they're doing it, and I don't like thinking about that stuff. I don't like talking about it because there's nothing I can do about it. We could all rise up and get pissed off right now, and I'll use this tax thing again and talk about how we're mad about them spraying stuff in the skies. They're not going to do anything about it until people really start killing over instantly. It's the same thing like Elon Musk talked about with artificial intelligence. By the time the travesty happens, it's too late. They're going to put sanctions in, and they're going to put laws in, and the stuff had already happened, just like seatbelts. Remember him talking about that? They didn't do anything about seatbelts until they looked at the statistics of how many people died because they weren't wearing their damn seatbelt. When artificial intelligence takes over, they're not going to have time to jawbone around in court and figure out how they can enforce this law. It'll be too late. Well, it's going to be the same thing with nature. It's going to be the same thing with death. It's going to be the same thing with apocalypses and all that. It's best just not to even think about it. And if that was really the case, why are people like Virgin Galactic trying to go to space, or Elon Musk? Why are they trying to get the hell off the planet? I think about that stuff sometimes too. There's nothing cool on Mars. The weather sucks. The wind sucks. You can't really grow a bunch of potatoes there. I ain't buying that movie, Right. There's nothing there. But why are they obsessed with it? They're not obsessed with just checking it out. They want to put people on Mars and colonize the place. How much freaking money that costs that we could be fixing stuff here with that? Now, Virgin Galactic plans to perform the next test flight of its spaceship to, suborbital space plane as soon as December the 13th. They're going to fly, that's tomorrow. That can't be right. Could be the first by vehicle to reach at least one definition of space. So everybody's obsessed with getting the hell off this planet. It's getting dark in here. I'm starting to feel I just got depressed. I'm starting to feel a little anxious again. Somebody say something nice.
Lollipops.
Still purr.
What?
Lollipops.
Lollipops, rainbows, unicorns, and crystals. But the idea of progress, I think, this is what I think happened. I don't think that you can stop Mother Nature in any kind of way. I do believe that there was a really awesome civilization. I'd like to, if I could picture the perfect thing about Atlantis, I'd like to picture it like Egyptians, that they really didn't need the internet and cell phones and all that stuff. But when it came to technology, they understood esoteric technology. They understood the power of sound and harmonics. They understood how to travel interdimensionally. They used the earth. They used solar energy. They were in tune with the earth. And still, yet, what happened to them? They all got wiped out.
After 100,000 years.
Right. So life is really, I guess it's all about the experience. And so everybody is we talk about, everybody's like, this is a slave planet. I can't wait to get off here. We've had guests on this program, Laird Scranton, agrees with me, and he does a lot of research into esoteric and spirituality and the symbols of all these different civilizations. And he believes, kind of like I do, that, you know, spirit and life kind of depend on each other. They're two sides of the same coin. Maybe it's boring, right? And you know you're going to die when you come here. Everything dies and it recycles itself. It's in all the symbolisms. It's in everything. We know that's true. But why do we hate it so much? Why do we want to leave? I guarantee you, most of you are saying this now. I want to get off this planet. I can't wait to leave here. It's a slave civilization. As soon as you die and you go to this place full of rainbows and crystals and intergalactic beings, you're going to miss this place. You're going to miss the food. You're going to miss, like Jason Quitt said, you're going to miss the taste of spaghetti and lasagna. You're going to miss the feeling of falling in love, even for the heartache, because everything comes with a price, right? You're going to miss the feeling of being able to look at a sunset or go surfing or play golf, of loving something more than yourself, because out there in the spiritual realm, I think it's just a concept. It's something that you know is real, but you don't really get to live it. While here, we're sitting here spinning our wheels every night on this radio program trying to figure stuff out, but it's designed in a way that we can't. And that's it. Lighting the void's over. We don't have to do the show no more. I just figured it all out.
Have you thought about, though, what if an earthly existence, okay, if we are eternal beings, how frigging boring is that?
That's what Lon Milo DeGette said, being God is boring.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's why we have these earthly existence, or we have these jaunts into the material world. You know, we take 70 years or so off from being eternal beings. We don't have any recollection, because if we did, it sort of defeats the purpose. But maybe maybe this life-death cycle is a treat.
Yeah, man.
It's like, let's get away from this eternal atrophy, the apathy that would create, and become human for a while. Or, some other finite form that has a born date and an expiration date to give the passage of time meaning.
I never knew you were that deep, Eric. The scientist just brought it out. You made me choke up a little bit there, brother. That way. No, you're right. That's what I believe too. Okay, I want to tell you guys a story that I told Dan this just happened to Eric and I. God, it's embarrassing to say, but I'm going to say it. So in the studio out here, I've got an issue with mice, and I'm going somewhere with this, right? And yeah, I'm going to talk about this.
Okay.
And Eric's kind of one of these guys. Everybody's got one. You got a friend that you'll stay up and talk on the phone with forever, just to talk. Dan's the same way. And I set these traps out to kill some mice, and it worked. But they were babies, and I felt so bad because I could hear them squealing and all this stuff, and I'm like, I don't want to kill baby mice. I don't know, people are shaking their head going, Jesus Christ, But here's the thing. They're living beings. I don't think that they chose to be there, but anyways, I had to kill them. And I was talking to Eric about the whole night about how I didn't like it. That it had to be done, I know, but I didn't like it. There was no other way around it. Long story short, during that day and the day before, I was also watching Tom Hanks interview Phil Hendry. And Tom Hanks was talking about a game called Cards of Humanity, which came out in 2015, which was a really fun game for everybody to play. And I didn't tell Eric this. Didn't tell him about it. The next day, we're all talking on the phone, which was last night after the radio program. Eric said, hold on a second. And he would you open up your cabinet or something? And there was a mouse in there?
Yeah. I knew I'd set a trap up there, and I opened up the cabinet to see if I had caught one.
So he opened up the cabinet, and sure enough, there was a mouse in this trap with its ear caught in it. And Eric had to decide at that point whether he was going to let the mouse live or die. And we all chimed in. I think both Dan and I were like, don't kill it, right? Let it go.
Oh, I knew I couldn't.
Not 5 minutes later, somehow or another, Eric just brings up this thing. He says, you guys remember that game Cards of Humanity?
Yeah, there was some synchronicity going on. Really,
and I was like,
really
what the hell is happening? I started feeling weird, and I was like, okay. So everything's right then and there, even though it's just stupid little things that really don't matter. And unless they do, and we just don't know it. Something was all connected and communicating right there that doesn't exist in our five senses. And I know that happens to all of you. That should validate that there's something on the other side. And it almost, if you really think about it, validates that we come back. Everything in freaking nature dies and recycles itself. Everything. Every time we look at the sun, it does it. And all of the esoteric symbolism goes back to that. The seasons do it. December, the solstice is what? The 21st? What day is the solstice?
21st through the 24th.
Right.
Or the 20th through the 24th.
Yeah, so the solstice is the shortest day of the year. It represents like the shortest day, death, and then everything comes back in spring and all this stuff, and then in summer, and then it's at its peak, and then it dies again, and then animals, everything does that. So I have to assume that we're doing the same thing. That we got to be doing the same thing, that the whole story of the resurrection and all of this stuff was to let us know that that's the cycle, that's the process, right? And the New Testament is buried. I mean, it was written by Greeks, probably, you know.
Well, actually, there were two testaments after the events of the crucifixion. You had a Jewish Christian tradition, and you had the Goyim, what do they call the non-Jews, not Goys, but I can't say the word. No, it's Gentile. You had the Gentile Christian church, or the Gentile Christian movement. You had the Jewish Christian movement. And some of the early church fathers were chided because they didn't observe the Jewish traditions, and they kind of
they kind of what I'm saying, though, right? Like the symbolism is in there, though. The esoteric symbolism, it's in there. And some people believe that the four Gospels represent the four elements and also the four sides of the Sphinx, the ox, the bull, the man, and the lion, or ox, eagle, man, and lion, which is also in Revelations. It's all there to let you know that this is happening. That is a damn good question. Darapoli in the speaker chat said, yes, but are we coming back to get our ear caught in Eric's mousetrap? Well,
lucky for you if you are, because I have a compassionate soul for all my other faults. I don't like killing. I don't mind the fact that the trap when it kills them outright, it's like, boom, they're gone. But the one that was sitting there with its ear hung up in the trap.
Yeah, you have to kill it.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, there's a reason that mouse didn't die in that trap like all the other mice die in that trap.
What were we talking about the night before? That I had to murder mice. The way I caught them, it wasn't instant. I had to kill them. So that was perfect.
Glue traps.
You see what I mean? It was a perfect synchronicity.
Yeah,
but there is a belief that we come back. There is a belief that and I think it's Buddhism. Eric told me this, right? That we start out as elements and rocks and dirt, and then we evolve into the animal kingdom. I think Rudolf Steiner talks about this too, doesn't he? And then we evolve into the animal kingdom, then the human kingdom, and we're always in this state of becoming. So to think of, you might actually, let's say Eric killed that mouse, right? He murdered it. You never know. You might be the one coming back. So we don't know. Does anybody listening to the show right now that's older, no, forget it, anybody, remember the day they were born or even a few days after? What the hell was going on then? Where you came from at that point? What is your oldest memory? Do you even have one?
Yeah, I actually do.
What is your old? That's funny. What is your oldest memory?
Toddler age. Apparently, I was about 2.5, and I can remember we lived in a trailer, and the trailer had a big front window with a couch in front of it. And I remember standing on the couch, and there was a kid outside who had a bicycle horn. And the game was he would honk the horn, and I would jump up and down on the couch. And he made, that I was about 2.5 years old, maybe.
See, my oldest
according to
memory
my
is
parents.
Looking at my feet, and I had blue shoes on, blue strap-on shoes, and my mother, who I didn't really know very well, was asking me if they were too tight. The little Velcro straps, and I could see my little feet sticking up. I don't remember laying in no crib screaming or crying. Damn sure don't remember being born. So when the hell did we actually get here? Jeff Harmon came on the show and told me that when his son was born, I think it was either his son or his daughter, I forget, that he could pay attention. He saw two little lights just kind of go through the room when his son took his first breath, because he's an astrologer, so every chart he tries to pull, he tries to calculate when you took your first breath, because he really believes that's when your soul came here. But I have no memory of any of that, which is probably a good thing, because we were, defecating and peeing on ourselves, and everything was terrible. It was terrible, had to be.
Can you imagine 9 months not being able to move? Okay, maybe for the first 3 months. Okay, maybe for the first few, the first trimester or so, it's not so bad. But that last couple months of being in the womb, you're trying to move. You can't move. You're in this sloshy fluid that, this meconium that's got your own waste products in it, and you're
Jesus
breathing
Christ,
that crap.
Marco.
That's got to suck.
You got a little detail there, but I get that. You're being totally honest. What if Atlantis were a concept? And so it could be a concept. I get that. Still getting text messages about that. Cynthia said that that her sister died on the solstice. I hate to hear that, but what a perfect time, right? I mean, passed away with the cycle there. I know that there's something to it. That's all I'm saying. I just don't remember. None of us remember when we were born, right? Have you ever read a story about a kid that they remember their past lives? Some children can take you to where they were, or the places that they were murdered, or where they died. So we know that there's some form of past life, but that transition stage, they don't remember. And I can tell you about one book that I found that some of you may have read that actually talks about that period where a hypnotist takes people in between lives after they pass away, what happens in between, and then when they wake up. And it was it's called Journey of Souls by Michael Newton, I believe. And I got to thinking about this the other day because Michael Deacon, who hosts End of Days, says, hey, you need to watch Flatliners. Watch that movie. I believe it or not, I've never seen it. Movie. Never saw it. And
I told you to watch it.
The original one was better.
I know you did. There's Dan again. I told you about it already, right? Like,
I told you.
I believe. I mean, so I lost my train of thought. But, yeah. In Michael Newton's book, everybody they got healed. Some people remember like these crystal beds or whatever. There was a lot of colors. Certain people it was all about energy and color. And then they would have to talk to a council or something, and they would go through their lives. Like all of these people talked about this. Do you remember the time that you sat on a park bench and you gave that guy $20? Let's walk through that time. How did that make you feel? Right? Et cetera, et cetera. And then they moved on to advance energetically and consciously. And the next thing you know, they're waking up again and they're a baby. It was the craziest book I ever read. And I know Mr. Newton, I know he passed away, I believe. But because I tried to find him when I first read it, and I found out that he passed away. But he wrote 2 books about it, and it was really cool. And we are way past break. Speaking of that, I got to say something to my YouTube audience, because apparently we're growing just a little bit of a YouTube channel. There's some people that want to comment about the ads and stuff. Let me tell you about how I do YouTube. I don't do YouTube, right? So if you're listening on YouTube, I'm sorry. When the show's over with on the radio, it just goes over to YouTube, and that's what you get. I am apologizing to you, but I'm not going to edit all of our radio breaks out of this stuff because I just don't have time to do it. And there's other shows that I know you're listening to that have advertisements on it, so...
And we're not paying, we're not charging for it.
Yeah, so it's free. So, I mean, those ads pay for the Fringe FM station barely, believe it or not. So, anyways, we're going to take our break, go get a drink of water or whatever. We're not going away. Neither are you, Kat. You're not going to sleep. We'll be right back. More Lighting the Void coming up. I'm Joe Roop. I'm here with the Reverend Dan Lopez and the madman Eric Markham. Stay with us.
This is Elle. I listen to Lighting the Void because it's interactive radio with good content, interesting guests, and a humble host, sharing his journey through the esoteric. Hey, Joe Roop. Thanks for having us along for the ride.
Thank you so much for a delightful evening.
Well, I got a lot of ground to cover.
Hi, this is Aaron Hunter, host of Real Paranormal Activity, the podcast where we tell real paranormal experiences of people from around the world. And we also conduct interviews with authors, investigators, psychics, and mediums. Real people, real stories, real fear. Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on The Fringe FM. See you then.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Poor water quality is a major health issue, and it's only getting worse. Municipalities can't keep up, standards have dropped, and pollutants are increasing. Where does it all end? It ends by keeping the pollutants outside of your home with HydroCare's advanced systems available at Wave Home Solutions. No less than the best purification materials and processes have been developed by HydroCare to provide you with healthy, clean water for drinking, cooking, and showering. HydroCare far surpasses the competition in removing chlorine, odors, iron, lead, chemicals, limescale, and much more. Don't settle for less when it comes to your water. We'll take care of the toughest water problems for you, whether it's from a city or well source. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, call 888-997-WAVE. That's 888-997-WAVE. Or go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
Follow The Fringe FM on Facebook and Twitter at The Fringe FM.
This is Paranormal News. I'm John Jeter.
a shining light that changed colors. That's what a jet pilot says they saw during a flight on the evening of November 24th over Canada's Baffin Island. An incident report suggests the sighting could have been a weather balloon, or a meteor, or a rocket, or a star, or an unidentified flying object, man. The pilot says the light changed from red to green to white. There have been reports of UFOs being built in the area since at least 2004. This is the latest case of pilots reporting mid-air sightings following events in Arizona, Oregon, New York, and Ireland over the past year. Are UFOs visiting the North Carolina coast again? Hey, I need to go out there and find out myself. I live here. Video of multiplying lights over the Atlantic Ocean was taken by a fisherman one evening at the Cape Lookout National Seashore on the Outer Banks. The witness commented on the video. The light was very bright, stationary, and silent. Over the course of the next hour, it faded in and out, as well as sometimes becoming multiple lights.
Now there are four again. How that happened? I don't know.
National Park Service officials there say they find the set of lights to be very peculiar. And there's a case in Texas of a craft that was described as the shape of a cigar near Fort Worth.
The witness said that she thought it was a cloud at first, got curious, started filming, and as she zoomed in on it, she noticed it was reflective.
The witness says the object was motionless for 20 minutes and was the oddest thing they've ever seen. Connect with the news at ParanormalRadio.com. I'm John Jeter, and this is Paranormal News.
Start your evenings with the Fringe FM long before those other shows get started. Exclusively live on the Fringe FM, hear the Quantum Hologram Matrix with the Reverend John Polk, Tuesdays at 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern. And our newest show, Sci-Spy Radio with Suzanne Ross, Wednesdays at 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern. Then stay up because we're burning the midnight oil well into the morning hour. The truth is out there, and so are we. Lock it in, the Fringe FM.
I want to do something that I haven't done in a long time. Welcome back. This is Lighting the Void. I'm your host, Joe Roop. We're here with Eric Markham and the Reverend Dan Lopez. We started off the night talking about Atlantis, and then we just kind of went on from there. But I haven't given shout-outs to people in a while, and I'm going to miss some of you. I'll do this for the rest of the week, because we've gotten another influx of page likes on the network, as well as Lighting the Void's page. We're almost to 1,000 likes. That's good. There's people that have believed, though, that Facebook is over. Like, it's just non-existent. They've given up on Facebook. But I haven't. I still find some funny stuff on there from time to time. But I wanted to say thank you to, looks like Michael E. Hill, Gully Gonclaves, Bruce Cunningham, Jim Jimenez, Bart Larson, Melissa Ravelli, Jaya Moon, Skylar Gresco, Avis Baba, Jeff Nolan, Sean O. Gilligan. I'm probably butchering you guys' names. Miguel Luis, Stanis Valenci, Liam the Flagman, you crazy sunbuck, Jose Manuel Guerrero Ramos, Sir Jude Napata, Young Amy Cat, Barbara Jean Lindsay, Sandy George, Robin Poe, and if I missed your name, I'll get the rest of them tomorrow night. But Dan, did you think about that question earlier when I asked Eric? I said, "Hey, what was your earliest memory? I know you don't remember being born. Do you have one that you? What's your earliest memory? Just out of
being in an empty room, hanging out, sitting down in front of a wall, because we had just moved into a place out in Jackson Heights, and we hadn't had all our furniture in. So one of the rooms that I was in was completely empty. And so I'm sitting there and I'm hanging out with the freaking box of paper clips, and I'm just making a chain of paper clips. So I got a bright idea, and I saw this hole in the wall, and I figured I'd just stick this paper clip chain in one hole.
Oh, no.
Then I stuck the other end in the other hole. And all I saw was a big bright flash. I saw a big bright flash. I felt a bump against my back. And that was it. As soon as the light blindness freaking went away, I looked across the room, and there's this semicircle of black against the wall and a puddle of metal where the little holes were underneath on the floor, wooden floor. And I was fine. I didn't have a problem at all until my mom looked in the room. She was like, she had just got off the phone, right, and went to look to see what the hell happened. And that's when I started crying, and I don't remember anything after that.
That's your earliest memory. That's crazy. So you actually have an event that happened, something that you can't forget, more than likely, right? That's crazy.
Yeah, I was about 4 or 5.
I know everybody right now is thinking about that. Really think about that. If you can just, sometimes I sit and think about it and try to see if, try to flex my memory muscle. And I really don't know how to do it, but that's the furthest I can remember back is little feet sticking up, and then just flashes of other memories, like riding on a Power Wheels, swinging on a swing, hurting myself. I do remember hurting myself quite a few times.
I was always getting into places I shouldn't get. I was always an explorer. I was probably about 3 or 4. We were living in an area called Rhorton, Indiana. It's a suburb of Muncie. And there was this culvert on the people know what a culvert is. It's like a big tube of metal that you put down in a ditch. And I wanted to know what was in there.
Oh, good.
Yeah, in the culvert?
Oh yeah, hell yeah! I went into the culvert and just what's in here. I was always exploring. And, oh my God, what a whooping I got for that! Didn't curtail me. I was just sneakier about exploring after that. But I can remember Mom having a heck of a time getting me scrubbed up. I apparently picked up some real muck down there. I remember trying to get my hands clean and just getting frustrated because it was so nasty.
Wow. Well, that's cool. But I remember falling in a pond too now that I think about it. So those memories stick out to us when we're small, right? Those crazy events that probably affected us painfully or emotionally.
Yeah.
That stuff sticks out in our memory. It kind of puts a scar or a stain in our memory, I guess, and it's always there. By the way, I want to mention that that comet 46P that we talked about, if you're a sky gazer like me, you can look up or tune into a special webcast to watch that at space.com, I believe. There was one today, and it was at 5 p.m., but you can still see it. Some people will be able to see it with the naked eye. But it'll come back around on December the 16th. And if you can't see it with the naked eye, there'll be a webcast that'll show you the comet's closest approach to Earth when it passes. I think it's like 7 million miles away or something from our beautiful planet Earth. And that's when it makes its closest approach. And you'll be able to go, I think it's space.com or something like that, where you'll be able to watch it. I can't think of the last comet that I saw in the sky. I want to say it was, I'm going to sound really stupid here, but it might have been Halley's. Didn't Halley's Comet come through?
Let's see. Last one I remember was Hale-Bopp.
Was it Hale-Bopp? It was Hale-Bopp. That's what it was.
I'm not sure. I think Halley's came through, but it was not visible from where I was at. Hale-Bopp I actually took pictures of. had a big 500 millimeter lens on a Pentax K1000 camera, and I got some pictures of it.
Which one was it, the one all those people committed suicide to?
Hellbop.
Hellbop. The Heaven's Gate people? Yeah, Hellbop wasn't really a comet. It was the mothership, or the mothership was hiding in the tail of the comet. That was a freaky situation. If you're following two people that call themselves Bo and Peep, people, you need to sorry, but you need to reevaluate your life path.
Well, some people are naive and they'll believe anything. I posted that video.
That's scary naive.
Yeah, it is scary naive, but they do, man. People hang on. You got to be careful whose word you hang on. And if there's anybody out there and I'm not saying that you are, but just because I've noticed this in radio, that people hang on these radio hosts every word. Like they'll tell you what to believe and think and all this other stuff. And it gets cult-like sometimes. And you got to think for yourself, man. I mean, look what happened. I don't even want to bring up the Corey Good thing, but look how many people went down with that, and they're still sticking to that just because they were with it so long, even though it just got totally busted out. Because you want to believe the stuff, because they're good presenters and good entertainers. And you think, well, I would never drink Kool-Aid or whatever. Really? You wouldn't never do that? Think about some of the stories that you've been following, you know? You don't know, man. There's some real good tricksters out there that can just lead you along for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
It's sad, actually. I'm talking about real sad. I say this because I worked at a car lot, and I bring this up a lot. The car lot was where I learned where real liars were. You ever seen that movie, The Informant? I think it was with Matt Damon or whatever. You seen that movie?
Yeah, it rings a bell.
Well, that kind of depicts how good people can lie and how, good people can be, I guess, sociopathic, right? And not even that level at a car lot. And when I say this, I mean, give you an example. When you go and you buy a car, the first thing you do is you talk to a salesman and they put this little Foursquare down in front of you and they're trying to work you on a payment, right? They say, okay, here's your payment, here's your down payment and your trade-in. And they're playing this stupid little game with you, and they're trying to get you to focus on your payment so they can rip you off on the other stuff. But whether it's your trade-in or your down payment or whatever, doesn't matter what price you saw it on the internet. They're trained to talk you out of that with this little machine on a piece of paper called a Foursquare. They then take that piece of paper, go behind the glass where you see the manager's mouth moving, but you can't hear what they're saying. You want to know what they're saying about you? Here's what they're saying. Run that guy's credit and hit it with every bank possible. And then the car salesman will say to the manager, well, what about their credit score? I don't give a damn about their credit score. We need to get a deal, whatever. This guy's stupid. I'm telling you, I can't even say what some of the stuff these people say behind the glass about you. And then they go back out and they shake your hand and they pretend to be your friend. I even seen some managers hand pills to other people, man. Like, are you in pain? Well, I got some hydrocodones over here. Take that, You feel good? All right, let's buy a car now. And you could literally see these people's eyes light up. And I'm talking people that had an education. They had bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, money, but they were still being sold. And I'm sorry if you work in the sales or car business, but I have to talk about this because I see it happening in this community a little bit. It happens. They play with your ego. They play with your beliefs. They tell you what they want you to believe, especially when it comes to other people. They want you to think that they're sitting on some type of a throne because they're behind a microphone. In reality, you could get behind a microphone and do the same thing. They're no better, no more special than you. They're not more knowledgeable than you. They're not a better person. They're not somebody that's not many of them are good to be looking up to. I can tell you that. And so I just had to get that off my chest because I'm tired of it. I mean, I've got people saying things about me that just aren't true, but because there's 3 or 4 people that hang on their every word, they're going to believe them no matter what. So, but you wouldn't drink the Kool-Aid, right? Just be careful. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
Who you follow out there.
What is it in us as human beings that there seems to be this need to follow, or this need to grasp onto something? There's some kind of, to me, it seems like there must be some kind of hollow spot that we're trying to fill. You know, whether it be a guru, a talk show host, a religion, you know, there's something we're trying to fill.
What do you say, Dan?
It's programmed discontent. That's what it is. It's you know, everyone from the minute that they come into this place to the day that they leave. You know, you're not supposed to feel content here. Yeah. There's always, the grass is always greener. You know, there's always someone better, somebody doing something better than you, or something like that. Somebody's got it better than you, or whatever. And you're supposed to feel not good about yourself and not good about what's going on in your life or whatever. And you're programmed to feel that way, so that this way you can remain unstable. If you can remain unstable, you are easily manipulated, because then they can move any kind of thing that mood changes you or whatever to get you to think their way. Yeah, all they got to do is push your buttons.
Yeah. And that's why there's a lot of people that don't get along with me, because I learned the art of that craft of manipulating people's egos and manipulating their beliefs. I learned it all in the car business, I'm telling you. They think it's okay. They would tell you stuff like, so we had sales meetings every morning, man. Every morning we'd have a sales meeting. And the people that sold cars that day before, they would make them feel great and wonderful. The people that didn't do crap, they didn't sell anything, they would literally tell you that you were worthless, that your family deserves better. I'm just talking about crazy psychological war games they would play. Not to mention that they would also tell you that your closest friends, relatives, and family members are the people that you should be making the most money off of, because they trust you. So you're really pathetic if you can't make money off those car deals. And they did it every single day, not once a week, not Friday, Saturday. Every day they beat that crap into your head.
Programming.
It's programming, right? And I was like, what the hell? And I was wondering why I was just freaking out on the inside all the time working there. And I finally told, my boss, like, I can't do this anymore. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm done with you guys. And back then I was talking about doing a podcast. I would talk about these things to a few car people at work, and some entertained the idea and others just thought I was crazy. But that's kind of when I started transitioning into doing all this stuff. And then when I got here, I found out that, there are hosts, even network owners, and even fans and followers that do the same stuff. They play with people's egos. They play with people's beliefs. They want you to believe that you're a member of their intermediate family somehow, get you real close, and then push that money button on you, and then tell you how to think. And you know what? I wouldn't be upset if you thought for yourself, but some of you don't. Some of you don't, and you got to quit that crap. I don't care who programmed you. Man, I got this friend, right? And I'm not going to, let's just call him John, because I don't want him to, I know he listens to the show, and I don't want him to get pissed off about what I'm about to say. And you got a friend like this somewhere. You'll be talking about something, anything, the weather, whatever. And the next thing they say is, well, my mom said this. Or my dad says, my dad said that. Or my pastor says this. What do you say about it? Right? I don't give a damn what your mom said. Why is that buried into your head? So the first thing that would trigger in their mind is, what does my mom think about this? What did my dad always teach me about it? What did my preacher tell me? What does my radio host tell me? What does my car dealer tell me? This
what does your hairstylist tell you?
Yeah, what does the barber tell me about it? Man, we're not going to get the answers that we seek until we all start figuring out how to think for ourselves. Some of you believe that you're star seeds and that there's reptilians and all this other stuff, and that's fine. If you believe that, that's great. But make sure, please, for the love of God, make sure it's just you that's thinking that way. That you believe that way because you chose to believe that way. And don't just tell yourself this, really check yourself. You know, I believe in star seeds and ascension and psychics and ETs and UFOs and all of this stuff, but I don't want to see us go back into what we just got out of. That's all. I believe we're out of it. And we need people like Ryan Gable to come along and people like the Dark Journalist. You don't need me. I'm just the guy with questions. I'm the curious guy that doesn't know anything. That's what this show's about. I don't know nothing, trying to find out. But there are people out there that are informing you very well. Ryan Gable. I got to say that Dark Journalist guy is pretty good. A lot of people are following him now. Linda Howe's still good in my opinion. And there are other people that just want to start crap. Like, I don't understand, and I'll never talk about this again, I swear to God. I don't understand how any podcast host or radio show host can sit back and just pick apart other radio shows on the air. That's what they talk about. They make the whole subject of their show about other radio shows, how they do their show, who they are, why they're getting this, that they're not even focused on bringing you anything. It's just everybody else because they can't figure out how to get the attention that they want. That crap is driving me crazy. Meanwhile, I'm getting a text message from this guy here that's telling me, hey, man, there's a podcast about what you're talking about on YouTube called The Myth of the 20th Century. It's awesome. You should go check it out. I guarantee you those people got a lot of downloads, a lot of followers. They're not sitting there talking about everybody else's radio show and how professional they are or they aren't or whatever. And that's all I got to say about that. But I'm just sick of it, man.
That was a wild tangent from the Hail Bop.
I'm sick of it, dude. There are other hosts. The reason, I'll tell you guys why these other hosts are getting attention and money and you don't like it, okay? They're getting attention and they're getting money because they're not sitting around talking about other people all the time. What they're doing is they're bringing information and entertainment to their audience. And until you figure that out, you're just going to sit there and yep, and talk into the ether the rest of your life. Jesus. Hey, like that, man.
Like, do we need an amen?
Sounds great.
I agree.
Sounds great.
I agree.
I was talking to Dan last night about, man, I got all these issues that you have as a network owner because it's not easy being a host and a network owner because you can't fire anybody. You can't get rid of anybody because you're the bad guy. So you just got to let everything happen or you're the bad guy. And Dan was like, screw them. Get rid of them. He was like, push the button. Yeah. Who cares with that thing? And you know what? He started making sense to me, right? Eventually, you got to put the law down on your life after a while. Now, this is, I guess, if I'm going to circle back to this Atlantis thing. Do you really believe that we're in progress right now? We have our fancy phones. We've got all of our technology and our Honey Buns, Mountain Dews, and tablets and 5G microwavable internet. But do you really think that we've progressed as a society? Do you really think that at the state we are in now that we could be like an ancient civilization like Egypt or Atlantis or something like that? Do you think we could do? Are we going to last 3,000 years, the United States of America?
No.
I don't think we are, man.
We're already in the decline. I mean, you got people who are so absorbed by social media. And I had one bounce off me the other day in a store. They were so focused on screwing with their iPhone that they weren't watching where they were going. And I saw that they were going to bang into me, and what did I do? I braced myself for impact, hoping the hell I'd knock them on their ass.
You're evil.
Zombies bother me. It's like, be connected to the real world. Okay, case in point, I went to a Joe Bonamassa concert a few years ago. There's people watching the concert through their iPhones. You know, what
at the concert?
We don't have at the concert. I'm sitting there watching the concert with my eyes, enjoying the experience. And this more, you know, guys, there are probably hundreds of them. They're watching the concert.
God, I love a good concert.
To the back of their phone. I mean, for crying out loud, if that's the kind of experience you want, buy the DVD. Sit at home and watch it on your tablet or something. That was just, oh, God, that just chapped me.
Concerts are awesome. I need to go to one again.
I love it.
I like trying to when you get all the way up front and you get you fight your way to the stage right up to the front and everybody's pushing you and squishing you, and you can, you know, what I used to do is grab the front rail and I just, you know, jerk back real hard and make a little room, especially if you have a girl with you. If you got a girl with you, then you got to protect her so she don't get squished too, and just kind of push back on the rail so everybody gets off of you. But you're right there for the first time watching your favorite band perform. Like back then when I was going to concerts, it was like 311 and, you know, Godsmack, stuff like that, right? There's no way in hell I'd have been on my phone watching the concert, though. How long ago was this?
What, 20 years?
20
15?
Years?
Wait, for me?
No,
mine was about 5 years ago.
Well,
mine was about 5 years ago. Yeah, and I was just thinking, what morons. I mean, you paid for the experience. I mean, hell, I ended up going up front and getting one of Joe Bonamassa's guitar picks and hung out after the show.
You haven't lived until you've been thrown out of a concert, though, right?
I haven't. I've been thrown out of a lot of things, but not a concert.
Well, I have. I went to watch Seven Dust, and I remember, you know who Seven Dust is, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay, so Seven Dust is a pretty cool band, and I've seen them so many times, but this was after... seems like I should have a part about the radio show every time I bring up my divorce. This was after the divorce.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, it was after the divorce, and I went to this concert, and I went up front. I wasn't, you know, everybody starts moshing and doing that crap. I don't really get involved with that. I try to stay away from it. But somebody bumped into me, and I just pushed him off of me. I pushed him, threw him back a little bit. I didn't want to mess with him. Just get away from me. And then I feel this, like somebody tagging me in the back of my head, just pop, pop, pop. You know, what the hell is that, right? And I turn around, and there's this little skinny dude just swinging at me, punching and hitting me in my head. So I start doing this juggernaut move through the crowd, right? Trying to find this kid because it's so crowded. And when I get to him, I just kind of swat him a little bit, just clipped his nose a little bit. And the next thing I know, I've got one dude pulling my arm this way, another dude pulling my arm that way, and then another guy picking me up with, you know, underneath my thighs. And what they did was they hoisted me up above their heads, and they stretched me limb from limb, right? So basically, I couldn't move. And then they just kind of walked me out as if I was like in a cross figure, right? And they kind of walked me out the door and pushed me out. But I remembered that they had to go over, you know, where the bars are usually at a concert. There's a bar, and there's 4 foot, and then there's a stage, right? Mm-hmm. Well, the way this thing was set up, the only way they could get me out was they had to go on that other side of that. So I literally went under the stage, and I remember when I went under the stage as they was carrying me out, the Seven Dust guy looked at me and gave me that rock and roll sign, right? And I was like, damn, that's so cool. And they threw me out. See, that's what life's about. It's not about fighting or anything, but I never would have experienced that. If it wasn't for the pain that I went through, I wouldn't have had that moment right then and there. I'll be damned if I'll be on my phone, though.
Oh, I tell you, the mosh pit at Ozfest, when they had Ozfest here in 2007, they had the open, you know, they had the the acts that were up front, not in the bowl. When was that?
All marketing. Just got a text message there.
It was Ozzy Osbourne Live Nation here in 2007 in Charlotte. It was free. And the mosh pit in front of the open air, stage was amazing. And all I could think, and I'm thinking, okay, the music's not that great, but damn, I wish I was still young enough to get involved in that.
You like doing that stuff? Like flying around and just being in complete violence? You like that?
I did when I was young. Yeah, I used to. My God, yeah. I used to. I don't know if it had something to do with being bipolar and having the depression, but man, there was nothing better than getting out there and inflicting damage because nobody was going to run to the cops or sue you later or any of that. It was it was Darwin Darwin on a stage apron.
Yeah, you started seeing everybody's
survival of the fittest.
Animal instincts come out, right?
I loved it. And I remember watching it in 2007 thinking, I would get my fat ass whooped.
Oh, yeah.
So I enjoyed it from afar.
Everybody buys their 2 beers, and it smells like, what at concerts where they always smell like burning barbecue and beer and heat,
Oh, God, it was hot. Yeah, it was middle of summer.
It's got to have the pot there, too. So you got pot, burning barbecue, and beer in the air, right? There's there's nothing better than that. That's life, man.
Well, it's like going to a Rush concert. You don't have to take pot.
We're actually thinking about doing that. Did you know? I wanted to tell everybody that we're working on putting something together at the Fringe FM. It's not like a conference where there's going to be. I'm sure there's going to be vendors there, but it's not really going to be that way. We're going to have live bands and music and stuff. So we're trying to get that together. I don't want to make any promises because it's not going to be easy, but there is a live stage, a live sound and music stage here at the Crystal Mine down here. And I've already been talking to Orville, about it. And they're so sweet. And see, that's the thing.
I could get Bundy in on that.
You should, man. Get Bundy.
Yeah.
Maybe we can.
Bundy could entertain you for an hour just noodling around. Bundy can sit there and go from playing something like Last Train to Clarksville by the Monkees and segue into some kind of death metal thing. And then
so how cool would that be, though, right? So we could listen to rock while we watch UFOs and orbs and stuff. And that we're trying to put something together like that. Anyways, it may come true, it may not. But, I mean, that stage down there. The problem, I think, with it is, though, is because it's such a short area. It's on a crystal mine. I don't think they know just how many people might actually show up to this damn thing, right?
You could end up being like a Woodstock.
It looks like no. If you go out there, if you guys have seen Board Camp Crystal Mine, they've got a sound stage, and it's got a lighting booth. It's it's hooked up just like any other concert stage. It's at the base of the crystal mine, and there's a grassy area where you can put picnic tables and stuff out. It looks like a mini Woodstock right there on a crystal mine. That's where we need to go and commune and start our off the grid stuff. They'd be down with it.
That sounds cool.
I'm down with it. Don't forget to, after this program, every single night, I want to mention that Ryan Gable from The Secret Teachings comes on before this program. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights, Alex Exum comes on. Monday nights, I want you guys to tune in to Ronnie McMullen's show if you get a chance to. It's 9 p.m. Pacific on Monday nights. It's called Deep Waters Radio, and Ronnie's been doing this stuff way before most of us have. And he's got a really good show, and it's also, we've managed to syndicate it with a pretty good station in Chicago, WCGO, right there in the heart of Chicago, and KMET in California, and it also gets aired in Tampa. So we're growing things, but we really do, when we ask you for your support, we really do need it. We don't like to. Eventually, we want to get to where we don't have to ask for people's support anymore, that we have a functioning network that does everything on its own, but we're still we're still not at that stage. So everybody that supports or uses the portal or whatever you do, it helps tremendously. You have no idea. And we're working on Studio A is done here in Little Rock, or I guess you could say Little Rock, South of Little Rock area. We're working on Studio B, and we're going to get a Batmobile, not a Batmobile, but we're going to get a Fringe Mobile.
Yep.
That's when it's over. As soon as we get that thing, I'm probably not going to be on the air every night. Anyway, I'm done. I'll be riding around in that thing, just broadcasting whatever.
An E350 Econoline.
Yeah, like a Class C, right? Or not a Class A.
C.
I used to sell them.
I'm looking for one that I can fit. You know, I want one that's old enough that I can still repair it. I don't want it to be so new that I can't. You know, so I'm looking for one in the 90s.
I can get you a deal. I used to sell those things, man.
I'd love to get one. You know, something that if it broke down in the middle of nowhere, I'd never go anywhere without a bag of tools. So I could at least get us crippled back into civilization.
So I got a text message from the 909 that says, we don't have a culture, we have marketing. Nothing is real, Joe. It's all marketing. America is corporate marketing. It's all commercial BS. That's why we're sad. We have no traditional culture. We have market research analysis. We're slaves. It's all marketing. And then he goes into like piss on humans, social engineering, no one cares, never mind, I'll stop. See? Going down that road, man. Yeah,
well,
it is.
I think in some cases there is a slice of our civilization that's true. But it's not everyone. True. It's not everybody. I mean, there's still people that cling to the old traditions, trends, family, and stuff like that. It's not. We haven't all given in to the iPhone generation.
Well, I think all you got to do is go to your best friend. Okay, go to your friend's house, look around, hang out with your friend for 30 minutes, then go to their Facebook page, and you'll see what it's all about. You're going to be looking at two different realities. That's why I try not to even put up pictures of myself on Facebook. Everybody's smiling and happy, and they're putting their little whiskers on, and they're beach vacationing. Just go hang out with them for a little while. See if their Facebook page resembles at all what their reality is. So I think the dude's right. We've been trained to be that way, but that's okay. Just got to let humans do what it do. And then everybody that did get on Discord that put in the guest suggestions, I did send out those emails, and I emailed everybody. That guy that talks about serpents, there's a guy that I really want to get on. His name is Sri M, and he was on Soul Journeys, and he talks about that this guy visited the Serpent Kings, or he calls them like the Serpent Kings or Serpent Masters or something in the astral realm. And I want to get that guy on the air so bad, but it's hard. But I'm just telling you guys, if you send a guest suggestion in, I give you my word, I will do everything I can to get them on. But sometimes these people are so popular and famous that they want you to do pre-recorded interviews and stuff. And I guess I could do that. I could do a pre-recorded interview and then air it. I've only done that for one person. And I don't like it because it doesn't seem authentic to me. It doesn't seem like we're being real with each other, because I could always go and edit out the stuff I don't like, or when I screwed up, or just so you don't see how I really am or the guest really is. It just doesn't, it's not cool to me. I like live radio. So some of these people don't want to come on at 9 p.m. Pacific because they're in God knows where. Hey, check this out real quick before we get out of here. Kurt says in the Fringe FM chat, he said, when we invaded Iraq, the first news reported out of the country was a museum being looted. Yeah. So how does an oppressed person loot a museum? I mean, something was clearly off with the storyline being presented by media, and alt media was as well saying that it was about oil, right? Every single place It says, since Iraq, every single place we've invaded under I don't know what he's saying there, Gladio, all the way to the Ukraine. The museums have been looted. I've been screaming for over a decade that the vulture capitalists are only taking advantage of the invasions and that the real reason has nothing to do with oil or gold or drugs, that they're looking for something. The God factor is how the system, or whatever the system is, funds the next invasion. What they're looking for has yet to be presented. Yeah. Well, I don't know about the God factor thing, but I know that they've been looting stuff for a while. If it's sacred symbolism, Iraq was real bad.
Well, yeah, that was the crazy, Mesopotamia. I mean, you look at Iraq, that area, that's the birthplace of Western civilization. I mean,
Yeah, sorry. He said he tried to call in. Sorry, man. I got to fix the phones. But anyways, we got to get out of here. Thanks, guys, for coming on. We talked about Atlantis. I want to thank Brian Power for coming on the show. Don't forget to stay tuned for Ryan Gable. The Secret Teachings is after the show. I want to thank the Reverend Dan Lopez from Spiritual Warrior Today Radio for coming on the program once again to keep us all straight. And I also got to say that this show is produced by the Fringe FM and cannot be rebroadcasted or syndicated without written permission. And music was by Chronox, Bundy, Space Station, Kevin MacLeod, and Carbon-Based Life Forms. We'll be back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Pacific. See you then.
On this program do not necessarily reflect those of the Fringe FM, KTLK Digital Broadcasting, its sponsors, affiliates, or staff. Listener discretion is advised. We told you weeknights on the Fringe FM are now even better, and we mean it.
Do it live!
Where else can you hear the best shows and the best talent? Kick off your evening with our newest host, Alex Exum, live at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 Eastern. Hang out with me, Joe Roop, on Lighting the Void at 9 Pacific, midnight Eastern. Ryan Gable expands your mind on the Secret Teachings at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern. We're bringing the heat every single night. Fire it up, the Fringe FM.
Yahoy there. This is Gigi from Shift Happens. And holy shit, you're listening to KTLK, the Fringe FM. Hey, don't you dare turn that stuff.
This is Paranormal News. I'm John Jeter. A shining light that changed colors. That's what a jet pilot says they saw during a flight on the evening of November 24th over Canada's Baffin Island. An incident report suggests the sighting could have been a weather balloon, or a meteor, or a rocket, or a star, or an unidentified flying object, man. The pilot says the light changed from red to green to white. There have been reports of UFOs being built in the area since at least 2004. This is the latest case of pilots reporting mid-air sightings following events in Arizona, Oregon, New York, and Ireland over the past year. Are UFOs visiting the North Carolina coast again? Hey, I need to go out there and find out myself. I live here. Video of multiplying lights over the Atlantic Ocean was taken by a fisherman one evening at the Cape Lookout National Seashore on the Outer Banks. The witness commented on the video. The light was very bright, stationary, and silent. Over the course of the next hour, it faded in and out, as well as sometimes becoming multiple lights.
Now there are four again. How that happened? I don't know.
National Park Service officials there say they find the set of lights to be very peculiar. And there's a case in Texas of a craft that was described as the shape of a cigar near Fort Worth.
The witness said that she thought it was a cloud at first, got curious, started filming, and as she zoomed in on it, she noticed it was reflective.
The witness says the object was motionless for 20 minutes and was the oddest thing they've ever seen. Connect with the news at paranormalradio.com. I'm John Jeter, and this is Paranormal News.